Tonight really is like the leaves on the Michiana trees. All year long, St. Joe and Mishawaka have developed and progressed to get to this point where their brilliance is on full display. All year long, they've shared the dream of showing their splendor and hoisting hardware as so many of their same group have done before. And now, under the November lights, their time for destiny has come. Whose dream will stay on the vine and survive? Whose will wither and fall? St. Joe and Mishawaka play for the 4A sectional title next on 46. You are looking live at historic Steel Stadium in Mishawaka. This site has been the place of many a game of this kind of magnitude. The 4A sectional championship on the line as the St. Joe Indians play the Mishawaka Cavemen on the 46th game of the week. And how you doing, everybody? Between the Hall of Famers, Bob Nagel and Bo Hunt, it's Chuck Freeby, and it's great to have you with us for another step on the road to Indianapolis. The St. Joe Indians come in with a record of 7-4. Up and down season for Brian Witten's team. And this team is more than one person, but certainly when John Driscoll got healthy, things looked really good for the Indians.
Yeah, and guess what? In a two-point game about a month ago, he wasn't healthy, and he didn't play in this game. So they're very confident in St. Joe. They've got Ashton Roskowski, an outstanding quarterback. I'm looking at Radigan as a difference maker on this team. Their defensive line has really come to the fore. I mean, this is a very good football team at St. Joe, and I think that they've got a chance to not only continue a great season, but to move on with the sectional championship. And I tell you what, if it was up to Brian Witten, the St. Joe Indians would be playing about an hour ago.
Well, I'd probably say antsy. I think we're ready to go. We're anxious to get going. Our kids have been waiting on this all day long, and we can't wait for 7 o'clock to finally arrive.
Mishawaka has been one of the great stories of the year. 10-1 in Keith Kinder's first season, ranked number 2 in Class 4A. And oh yes, they now have the school's all-time leading rusher in Chris Harness.
Can't wait to see him again. It's just a treat to come out and think about this game tonight. And Harness is so special, and Shively's done a great job at quarterback. Mishawaka might be in need of somebody else to step up. Could be a tight end, could be a wide receiver, somebody else to help out. But their defense has been good, and I tell you what, they have had a great season. Lost to Marist in Chicago. Marist has gone on to have a one-loss season up there in Chicago. This is a great team, and what I love about Keith Kinder is his first year as a head coach. He's kept everything in perspective. Grateful just to be playing here tonight against St. Joe.
Well, they're better than they were 5 weeks ago. They got Driscoll back, who didn't play against us the first time. We're going to have our hands full defending them and then making sure that we're in the right play offensively. They're going to move the defenses around a little bit, try to confuse our kids. So that's something we've stressed this week to our kids. So I think it's going to be a really good football game, and if we got a shot in the fourth quarter, I'll take it.
Bo Hunt on the sidelines with us once again tonight. Bo, Mishawaka won this game 26-24 in Week 7. When I hear it's tough to beat a team twice during a season, am I hearing just coach speak, or is there something to that?
Well, when you beat a team 51-0 or 45-0, something like that, you go into the game, you have a lot of confidence. You can usually play not up to your best standards and still win that game pretty handily. But when it's a 2-point game or even a 5 or a 7-point game, you go into that game and you got to make some adjustments because you know your opponent's going to make some adjustments as well. And it is tough. It is very tough to beat a team twice in the same season when you guys had a rematch and it was under 7 points. Most of the times, the teams that lost in the regular season, they lose in the playoffs.
The Cavemen may have taken that one in September, but the games you remember are played in November. And that includes this one. It's St. Joe and Mishawaka, and the Jordan Automotive Keys to winner next on the 46th game of the week.
This is the WHME TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week, brought to you by Thor Industries, Bethel College Admissions, Teachers Credit Union, Bill's Heating, Jordan Auto Group, IU South Bend, Electrical Workers Local 153, JV Macri Orthodontics, Crown Trophy, Imagineering Finishing Technologies, and the IHSAA.
This edition of the TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week is being brought to you by the Jordan Auto Group. Simple, easy, stress-free. That'll hardly be the case here in Mishawaka tonight as the Cavemen come out onto the field for this sectional championship game. Ranked number 2 in the state of Indiana, getting ready to take on the St. Joe Indians. Let's bring you the keys to win as Mishawaka takes the field. Brought to you by the Jordan Auto Group as you look at Keith Kinder and his squad. We'll start, though, with the St. Joe Indians, and they're led by their fine quarterback, Ashton Ruskowski. Ruskowski, the senior, has thrown for over 1,500 yards this season. He's also rushed for over 400. And last week against New Prairie, he had a scintillating week, 14 of 17 for 232 yards in the win over the Cougars. He'll get help tonight from his running back, John Driscoll. He missed the first time they played the Cavemen. He won't miss this one. The 6'1", 195-pound junior has still rushed for 842 yards this year. Caught passes good for 236, and he had 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns last week in the win over New Prairie. The keys to win for Brian Witten and the Indians.
St. Joe Indians have to win first and second down on both offense and defense. They got to stay ahead of the chains and try to keep Mishawaka behind them in this ball game. There's no option. You got to do your job. It's a two-headed monster for the Mishawaka Cavemen. They got to make sure they cover both the quarterback and the fullback. And they have to play with intelligent intensity, limit mistakes and penalties. It's going to be a big factor in this game. Brian Witten is in his 3rd season at St. Joe, 14-19 so far.
You see the M down in the hedges outside the school here at Mishawaka High School. And the Mishawaka Cavemen hoping to light things up tonight with an electric offense. It's spearheaded by the quarterback, Sam Shively. The 5'10 senior says he has matured a lot into this season, and it has shown. He's rushed for 870 yards and 23 touchdowns and thrown for another 5. He'll hand it off a lot to the all-time leading rusher at Mishawaka High School. His name is Chris Harness. He has set the single season record this year with over 2,200 yards rushing and 21 touchdowns. And as we mentioned, the all-time leading rusher in Caveman history. The keys to win for Keith Kinder and the Cavemen.
The Cavemen have to make sure they tackle somebody, and arm tackles won't get it done tonight, especially if it's Driscoll carrying the football. They can't let people get behind him because Ruskowski can burn you big time with a deep throw, and they have to finish their drives. Points per possession will be big tonight. Keith Kinder, an outstanding start at Mishawaka, 10-1 in his 1st season.
St. Joe Indians just finished up their team prayer over on the other side. The captains will come out and meet at midfield and get ready for the coin toss, and we go through the series history. And it's been an off and on series over the years before St. Joe joined the Northern Indiana Conference. The first time these two teams played was way back in 1957. This will be the 21st meeting, but the first time in the postseason. And of course, Mishawaka, as we mentioned, won by 2 back on the last Friday of September. The weather tonight sponsored by St. Joe High School, Bob.
Yeah, it's 45 degrees at kickoff time here. You see the beautiful foliage here in Mishawaka. About another maybe 3 days before it all falls. We've got to rake it. But the wind is out of the northwest about 5 miles per hour. It won't be a big factor in the game, and there is a 0% chance for precipitation tonight. So you're really excited about 2 teams being healthy, ready to go, good conditions, and hoping that both teams play well.
St. Joe has won the toss and deferred. Mishawaka elects to receive down at the south end of the field. So St. Joe will be able to kick with the win as we get this one underway in Class 4A. The evening begins with 96 teams around the state of Indiana still alive in the tournament. We'll trim it down to 48, and those 48 will get to hoist a trophy tonight as they'll be crowned sectional champions.
Crowd still coming in. I think a lot of folks were hanging in their cars as long as they could. It's going to get a little chilly, probably into the upper 30s by the time we get out of here tonight. But again, with the wind being a negligible factor, and not only the players happy about that, but so is Bo Hunt, who will be on our sidelines tonight with our Bills Heating reports. And boy, I tell you what, there's a lot of excitement. You see St. Joe in their road white uniforms, white pants, white jerseys, white helmets. Mishawaka in their home maroon jerseys with white pants with a maroon stripe on them, and they've got the white helmets. And we're going to see 2 good teams go at it here tonight. Exciting for us. And here to call tonight's play-by-play action, Our Family Broadcasting Corporation Sports Director, my partner Chuck Freeby.
Patrick Oliva puts the ball on the tee for the St. Joe Indians. C.J. Fisher and it looks like Donovan Snyder back deep for Mishawaka. Toe meets leather. We're underway in the sectional championship on 46. The kick taken on the far side at the 6-yard line. That's Bradley Taylor coming up the field, and he brings it up to the 30-yard line before he's brought down on the return by Gavin Stefanik. So Mishawaka takes the field with their all-time leading rusher, Chris Harness, and what a season, what a career he's had here at Mishawaka. The numbers are mind-boggling. 2,209 yards in his career, or in his season. That would be a career for most people. And last week, he became the school's all-time leading rusher. Hard to believe he didn't play football until 8th grade. You see Mishawaka run the option. That's Donovan Snyder in motion. And we've got a flag on the play, and St. Joe lining up in the neutral zone. That'll cost him 5 yards. As you see our officiating crew, Mark Terry, joined by David Bell, Mark Angelo Terry, Mike Mendoza, and Scott Leffert.
Yeah, the motion by Mishawaka drew St. Joe to jump a little bit, so the first penalty of the game goes against the Joes, 5-yard penalty.
Well, Brian Witten said that they were antsy, and it showed on the very first snap.
Sure did.
There you see Keith Kinder, the former Jimtown quarterback, now the head coach here after being the offensive coordinator for a while. It's Harness up the middle, and he's on the loose already. Chris Harness to the 46 of St. Joe. First down for Mishawaka, brought to you by R&B Car Company. As we meet that caveman offense, we told you all about Harness and Shively. They've got some other weapons, including Snyder and Taylor. They don't throw the ball much, but Robinette's had 4 catches this year. The offensive line has really developed over the course of the season, led by Ricky King and Eric Varga.
19 yards on the carry.
On 1st and 10, they contain Shively for a pickup of only 1 on the play, as St. Joe closed quickly that time. Michael Connery in on the tackle as we meet the St. Joe defense quickly. Across that front line, Kenzel Kelly has had a terrific year at defensive end. Casey Connery, one of the leading tacklers on the team, back from an injury. And Noah Hickey, with 4 interceptions, has been a stalwart and all-conference player a year ago. Likely gets the honor again this season. Pickup of 1 on the play. It's 2nd and 9. Shively under center. Hands it to Harness. Makes the big cut up the field, and look at Harness drag Radigan up to the 30-yard line. Another first down for Mishawaka. It's brought to you by R&B Car Company. Harness will have to come out for a play. His helmet came off.
16 yards on that carry.
You get another look from Bethel College admissions, and look at the power of Harness dragging tacklers inside the 30 to almost the 29.
35 yards on 2 carries for Harness.
With Harness out, Andrew Mason lines up in the backfield behind Shively. But it's Shively keeping the football and turning it upfield for a pickup of 3 on the play. Mark Heastan brings him down, the 6'4", 265-pound senior.
Well, you kind of had an idea with Harness out of the lineup that it might be Shively carrying the ball. Harness back in there now. Coaches need to get a roll of tape his helmet on. Can't have that thing coming off.
Everybody checking the wristband. St. Joe spreading out 5 linebackers to try to come up in pursuit. And St. Joe will back him up as Shively adjusts to the play. Play clock down to 5. Harness on the carry again, bangs his way forward for about 4 yards on the play. And that's the kind of run that endears him to coaches. When we talked to Keith Kinder earlier this year about Harness, he said what makes him special isn't the breakaway speed. It's the ability to get that kind of yardage on a play that typically gets none.
And partner, I would think that Mishawaka being inside the 30-yard line is probably looking 4-down territory here. Still probably outside the range for field goal, but they probably feel like they've got 2 downs to get 2 here.
Keith Kinder's been very aggressive on 4th down this year, but he won't need to be here as Harness bangs his way for the first down to the 17-yard line. Pick up a 4 on the play, and Mishawaka will move the chains and go in with an up-tempo offense here in the first quarter.
43 yards now for Harness on 4 carries. The numbers just jump off the page, don't they, partner? That Penn game with Mishawaka, you look down, it was still the end of the first quarter, and he was at 80 or 90 yards already.
Well, and Shively had 2 big touchdown runs in that first quarter already for the Cavemen. Now Shively keeps it. No, he kept it himself. Harness burst through that hole. I thought he might have given it to him for a moment, but it's Shively turning the corner, gets about 4 on the play. Shively came into the game with 142 carries in 11 games, so he usually totes it quite a bit in this option offense.
Sometimes it's just to keep the defense honest so they can't key on the running back of Harness as often, but he's also a very effective runner.
2nd and 6. Brody Robinette split wide to the left, but they give it to Harness, who bangs off tackle, picks up a couple of yards on the play. J.P. Lewis came up to put him down, and it'll be 3rd and 4 for Mishawaka, which is just fine with Keith Kinder.
You see that clock going?
Harness not very big of stature, 5'7", 175 pounds. But he is a strong young man and explosive. He runs the 40 in 4.6. From the St. Joe 10, it's Harness off the left side for 5 yards. Lewis brings him down, but not until Harness gets another Mishawaka first down, brought to you by R&B Car Company. And right now, Mishawaka just running it right down the throat of the Indians.
And that's 50 yards on the night and 6 carries for Harness. Check that defensive end is trying to contain, but they're bumping him out of there, and Harness inside the defensive end. And boy, if he makes a cutback, he could be gone, but he's getting 5 yards.
Shively keeps it himself, staggering around by the goal line. Did he get in? Touchdown, Mishawaka. Sam Shively's 24th touchdown run of the season puts the Cavemen on the board. 4 minutes, 59 seconds. They march 70 yards, and Shively caps it off with a nifty 5-yard touchdown run. Patton Snyder on to try the extra point. He's 46 of 49 on PATs this year, out of the hold of C.J. Fisher. The snap is clean, the kick is up, and it is no good. He hooked it to the left. So Snyder misses the extra point attempt for just the 4th time this season, but it's Sam Shively, good old number 4, putting the Cavemen on the board. 4 gets 6, and that's the lead for Mishawaka on 46. This edition of the TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week is being brought to you by Thor Industries. They're the world's largest RV manufacturer. And you've got something to bang the drum about tonight in Mishawaka as they play the fight song. The Cavemen leading this one 6-0. Very impressive march, similar to what you might see from the Mishawaka band.
Really was. St. Joe did all they could. They started off with a penalty, and then Mishawaka ended up going 70 yards in 10 plays. They picked up 4 first downs, and as Chuck said, 4:59 off the clock. Pretty efficient drive. They're in the end zone with 7:01 to go, first quarter, and here's the kickoff.
Patton Snyder squibs it, and did St. Joe get on it? They did, as Trevor Jagaki was able to fall on that football. Keith Kinder said to me before the game, I'll fire myself if I kick it to John Driscoll.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Driscoll was so successful last week.
Now Ashton Ruskowski takes the field with the St. Joe Indians. What a season he has had, throwing for 1,539 yards, rushing for 416. Ruskowski the consummate leader on this St. Joe team, and he brings his team out already trailing 6-0.
Can't use that word leader enough when you're talking about Ruskowski. And again, this is the St. Joe team that went through some adversity with injuries mid-season, but they never lost sight of their goals and their dreams, and they've gotten healthy, and we're going to get a chance to see Mr. Driscoll and Mr. Ruskowski.
Driscoll in motion on the jet sweep. Driscoll trying to turn the corner and does. Look out! Driscoll all the way to the 20. Connor Radigan really got to the outside and spun him with a block. And Driscoll races for 34 yards on his first touch of the night.
Wow. What was it, $6 for a ticket to this? It's going to be well worth it tonight.
Here it is again on the Bethel College admissions replay. And only a diving tackle by Devin Jimenez brought down Driscoll at the 21. Ruskowski with Driscoll running the way, but he's sacked in the backfield. Tyler Rux gets back there quickly and drops Ruskowski for a loss of 8.
Ruskowski did a good thing there too. He got down. He didn't take a bad hit. There was a missed block. He was in trouble. He went down.
Here is that caveman defense. You take a look at Rux, but the guy that's been doing the job up front this year is Joseph Willis. In the linebacking core, Derek Dawson leads the way with 81.5 tackles, and then in the secondary you see C.J. Fisher, the team leader, with 92 tackles. 2nd and 19. Ruskowski wants to throw. Here comes more pressure. It's a screen to Driscoll, and he's got blockers. Driscoll getting back inside the 20, down to the 19. It'll set up 3rd and about 8. 11-yard pickup on the play as we meet the St. Joe offense. And you see Ruskowski and Driscoll. J.P. Lewis, another effective weapon at fullback. Radigan, the leading receiver with 42 catches. Mark Eastan, the key to that line, the young man who's headed to the United States Air Force Academy next year. They're also starting a freshman in Zach Kennedy at center tonight.
He's not undersized. He's just underage.
So St. Joe looking at 3rd and 8 from the Mishawaka 19. Radigan, the leading receiver on this team, split wide to the bottom of your screen, and Ruskowski rolls that way. In trouble, throws, and it's incomplete. He was trying to get it to Noah Hickey, but he was running for his life under pressure from that Mishawaka defensive line. And so here comes Patrick Oliva. The junior hit a 42-yard field goal this year against Concord, and he does have 6 field goals on the season. This one, with the wind at his back, will be about a 37-yarder.
Oh, well, they're going to mark it, partner.
Well, they're going to move it up to about a 36-yarder here for Oliva. Ruskowski is the holder, so Mishawaka does have to be aware of a possible fake. The snap is good. The kick is low, and it is hooking to the right, no good. So Mishawaka's defense bends back St. Joe, and the Indians come up empty on their first possession, trailing 6-0. You'll get another look at Oliva's field goal attempt. Plant foot might have gotten a little far forward, and that forced him to hook it to the right, and he knew it as soon as it came off his foot.
Minute 54 off the clock for the St. Joe drive, and there you see Ruskowski making sure he shakes hands with everybody. We made a good drive. We got in their territory. We'll live to fight another day.
So Mishawaka takes over at its own 20-yard line, already leading 6-0. St. Joe's defense unable to get a stop in that first possession that lasted almost 5 minutes. They give it to Chris Harness again, and he's bottled up after a pickup of 1 this time as the middle of that St. Joe defensive line caved in on the diminutive fullback.
We talked during the week, Chuck, with head coach Brian Witten about, do you target? And he said, well, we won't shadow him with one guy. We've got 3 guys in each unit looking at each one of their running backs. So they were successful right there.
And it's Harness again. And again, he's brought down after a pickup of 1. And again, the middle of the line gets the job done. Casey Connery, the linebacker, the senior with 81 tackles on the year coming in, gets the job done right there. 3rd and 8. And this was part of the strategy for St. Joe, try to get Mishawaka into down and distances that they're not comfortable with. Sam Shively has only tried to throw 34 passes this season. Shively, Harness is met in the backfield and lost yardage on the play. Loss of 2. Michael Connery comes roaring in. The sophomore nails him as he gets the handoff. And a much better defensive set for St. Joe this time. You get another look. It was Kenzel Kelly who actually made the stop from the defensive end spot.
Well, negative yardage play right there. Loss of the 2 that they'd gained. Harness back to 50 yards.
Patton Snyder averages 37 yards a punt. Noah Hickey, the deep man for St. Joe. Snyder hangs one high. Hickey calls for the fair catch in Caveman territory at the 45-yard line. So only a 26-yard punt for Snyder. And St. Joe has excellent field position with 3:13 left first quarter.
Wasn't a very long punt, Chuck, but anytime they can get special teams receivers for St. Joe to not get loose to run, that's been a big part of their success.
Let's see what kind of adjustments the Indians make in terms of trying to give some pass protection to Ashton Ruskowski, who was under pressure from the Mishawaka defensive line that entire first possession. They'll hand it to John Driscoll. Driscoll jitterbugs his way. Now gets around the left side. C.J. Fisher dumps him after a pickup of 7 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 3. Fisher, the leading tackler on this Mishawaka team, and you'll meet him at halftime along with Ashton Ruskowski, our TCU Student Athletes of the Week.
A lot of work for Driscoll there to pick up those 7 yards. He looked like he was down a couple of times.
Hickey brings the play in from the sidelines for St. Joe. Hickey and Radigan split to the right of Ashton Ruskowski, flanked by J.P. Lewis and John Driscoll. And movement or offside called against Mishawaka, and that'll give St. Joe a first down.
First penalty of the night for Mishawaka. Both teams with a 5-yarder. Folks, Chick-fil-A, Mishawaka Main Street invites you to take a break from your Black Friday shopping. Bring a new unwrapped toy of at least $5 in value for Toys for Tots from 6:30 to 10:30 a.m. or from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. and you'll get a special treat from Chick-fil-A. A big thank you to the team at Chick-fil-A, Mishawaka Main Street. They fed our production crew tonight, did a great job.
Ruskowski on a design quarterback draw. Picks up about 3 on the play. Joe Willis makes the tackle for the Cavemen, and it'll be 2nd and 7. Ruskowski not afraid to run the ball either, very similar to Sam Shively. He's carried the ball 142 times this year coming into this one. Scoreboard says 4th and 8, but it's actually 2nd and 7. A slow snap back to Ruskowski, but making the grab out in the flat is J.P. Lewis. Lewis wanted a face mask call there, but won't get it, and it's a pickup of about 3 on the play up to the 27.
I thought maybe it was a face mask.
Well, certainly when you take a look at the Bethel College admissions replay, you can make the call yourself, and that would be typically called a grabbing the face mask, but it wasn't by this group. Nicholas Davis on the tackle.
Gain of 3.
3rd and 4. St. Joe likely in 4-down territory here. It's Driscoll trying to get some room off the left side. Only able to pick up about a yard in decision time here for Brian Whitten. His kicker just missed from 36. This would be a 43-yard field goal.
Imagineering Finishing Technologies is a world-class metal finishing company specializing in plating, coating, testing, and consulting services. 59 years as the knowledge source for metal finishing solutions. Reach us on the web at info@iftworldwide.com.
4th and 3. And St. Joe will use a timeout here to discuss what they want to do. We'll take it as well. 28 seconds remain in the first quarter. The Indians trying to get on the scoreboard, trailing Mishawaka 6-0 in the sectional championship game on 46. This edition of the TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week is brought to you in part by IU South Bend, fulfilling the promise. Well, we promised you a good one here tonight. So far, it has lived up to billing here at the House of the Cavemen, historic steel stadium. If they ever get a chance to enlarge the press box here, that wouldn't be a bad dollar spent.
That message brought to you by Dean Hubbard. No. Tell you what, so many great improvements here at Mishawaka. It's exciting to see how the community has wrapped their arms around the students here.
4th and 3 for St. Joe, trailing 6-0.
First throw of the game.
Well, Roskowski wants to throw and does, and it's dropped by Noah Hickey. Hickey was separated from the football that time by Grant Jablonski, the cornerback, and Mishawaka will hold on downs.
It was actually the 4th pass of the game for St. Joe, but going for it on 4th down. Man was open. Pretty good throw.
Roskowski put it a little bit behind Hickey, though, and when Hickey had to reach back, Jablonski was able to separate him from the football. So the Cavemen take over at their own 26, leading 6-0. It was Keith Kinder who talked about in the keys to win finishing drives, but it could have very easily have been his old Little League teammate Brian Witten. Shively hands off to Harness, and boy, the last 4 carries for Chris Harness have been non-existent in terms of picking up yardage. Dan Stone in on the tackle, and the first quarter could be coming to an end. We'll see if Mishawaka tries to fire off a play here before the clock hits 000. Well, they're not going to have a chance because Harness is getting his helmet fixed into the backfield, and the quarter expires here at Steel Stadium. The St. Joe defense got tested early on by Mishawaka when the Cavemen put a touchdown up, but since then they've had some answers for the Cavemen. Kenzel Kelly and the Tribe doing some hard hitting, and Mishawaka's defense has come up with some big plays. Cavemen lead at 6-0 on 46. This edition of the TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week is being brought to you by Bethel College Admissions, equipping for lifelong service. We're equipped for a Bills Heating Sideline Report. Bo Hunt down on the sidelines. From your vantage point, what did you see in that first quarter?
I think one of the biggest things was the adjustment that the St. Joe defensive line did to Mishawaka, really attacking rather than kind of sitting back and reading it. And they did a great job that last series against Chris Harness and started out this series the same way. We'll see if they can keep that adjustment made and see what Mishawaka does to adjust to that front line by St. Joe.
2nd and 9. Harness was able to pop through the line, lost the football, and St. Joe says they have it, and they do. The Indians recover a fumble on the first play of the second quarter. Joey Gillis popped on the loose football, and St. Joe in business at the 30. Casey Connery stripped Harness of the football, and Gillis makes the recovery as you get another look from Bethel College Admissions.
Well, looks like Harness had a chance to get some pretty significant yardage. Forgot to bring the football.
The Indians have had the ball at their own 46 and the Mishawaka 45, unable to punch it in so far. Now they get it at the Caveman 30. And Ashton Ruskowski from the shotgun hands it off to John Driscoll, patiently looking for a hole, didn't find much of one, and gets brought down after a pickup of 2 by Nicholas Davis, the middle linebacker.
Good adjustments by both coaching staffs to what the other team wanted to do. 2 yards there for Driscoll. Folks committed to faith, character, and excellence for 65 years. St. Joseph High School offers scholarships and financial aid to half of its students and awards close to $2 million in assistance each year. Learn more at an open house on Sunday, November 11th from 1 to 3 p.m. Discover St. Joseph High School.
Ruskowski to Driscoll in the flat. He's got blockers in front. Hickey gave him a hole, and Driscoll gets up to the 15-yard line for a first down. Pick up a 14 on the play. John Driscoll does a lot of catches out of the backfield. That's his 20th this season.
28 yards passing for St. Joe now in the ball game. In the first quarter, the numbers showed St. Joe with 51 total yards, Mishawaka with 64. And the turnover really changes those numbers around because of the field position difference. St. Joe started this drive at the 30. They're down inside the 15.
Donovan Snyder saved the touchdown for Mishawaka, and now an empty backfield for Ruskowski and the Tribe. Man in motion, high snap, Ruskowski over the middle. Did Lewis drop it? He did. Oh, J.P. Lewis is the loneliest man on the face of the earth right now. He had a touchdown in his hands and couldn't come up with it.
Had that for about a half a step. Looked like he was trying to pull it in and look for the goal line and drop the ball. Pretty good throw. Again, it's a little chilly out here tonight.
But the throw was on the money. Lewis just couldn't corral it.
3 out of 6 for Ruskowski so far in the ballgame. Mishawaka, typically not a big throwing team. They have not thrown the ball yet tonight.
2nd and 10. Ruskowski, another slow snap, gets it out to Lewis, who makes the catch this time, but is upended by Grant Jablonski after a pickup of 3 on the play. Jablonski, a 3-sport athlete here at Mishawaka, who had a big pick 6 in their win over Hobart in the sectional opener. It'll be 3rd and 7 for St. Joe. Mishawaka's defense has had 2 big stands so far tonight. Can they get a 3rd?
St. Joe playing with their backup center tonight because of an injury.
Will Faulkner out with a concussion. Here's Ruskowski firing a bullet. Touchdown, St. Joe. Austin Lee, the tight end, gets his 2nd touchdown catch of the year. And St. Joe is tied it at 6 and has a chance to take the lead with the extra point. Lee, the senior, who has dedicated the season to Josh Crudup, the young man from St. Joe who had a stroke in the middle of the season. And Lee came up with a dandy grab that time to tie the game at 6. And now Patrick Oliva with a chance to give the Indians their first lead of the night. The snap is good, the kick is up, and it is good. 9:45 to go in the first half. It was set up by the St. Joe defense. Casey Connery stripped Chris Harness, and Joey Gillis came up with the loose change. And then Ashton Ruskowski hit Austin Lee for 6, and St. Joe takes the lead on 46. This edition of the TV46 High School Football Game of the Week is brought to you in part by Crown Trophy. They're nationally known and locally owned. Brian Witten, in his 3rd year as the St. Joe head coach, trying to get his first sectional title. And his team now with a 7-6 lead, the ever-present pencil behind the ear for Coach Witten.
Boy, Coach Witten's so happy this year. He was finally able to move into the building at St. Joe. And as a teacher, you know, you're obviously an advantage being in a building for several reasons, but you don't have to drive clear across town to get to practice in the afternoon with all the traffic. But you're also able to keep an eye on the guys and be helpful when they need it during the course of the school day.
Bradley Taylor stands awaiting the kickoff along with C.J. Fisher. This one goes high into the November night, and Fisher takes it at his 11. Fisher on the return up to almost the 30-yard line. So, again, solid field position for Mishawaka as they start this possession, trailing for the first time tonight.
Folks, for more than 50 years, Holy Cross College has a proven record of forming students to be scholars, citizens, leaders, and disciples. Holy Cross is a small school with big-time success and access to the University of Notre Dame and St. Mary's College. Holy Cross is committed to helping students meet their individual goals and proud to introduce a new 3-year intensive bachelor's program. For more information, visit the website hcc-nd.edu/admissions or call them at 574-239-8400.
Chris Harness takes the handoff, tripped up after a pickup of 3. Chris, at another level, like 2 levels up, you can get up off the ground if you just stumble and fall, but not at this one.
St. Joe's defensive adjustments have been impressive here in the first half.
Well, the St. Joe defense has really turned this game around since that first drive of the game where Mishawaka marched it right down the field. 2nd and 7.
Cavemen might be forced to maybe go to the pass. Against Penn, they only passed twice, completed one of them. They do have good receivers, part of their game plan.
Shively hands it to Harness again. No, he kept it himself. And Shively is brought down after a pickup of 3 on the play. Luke Leonard, the junior linebacker, was able to make the stop that time.
16 yards so far tonight for Shively. Pulse FM welcomes Chonda Pierce to Still Laughing Tour Sunday, November 11th at the Lerner Theater in downtown Elkhart. The First Lady of Christian Comedy is coming to Elkhart for one night of laughs and stories with special guest Karen Williams. For more information and tickets, visit the website at thelerner.com or at pulsefm.com.
There's an injured player down on the field. We'll get an update on him. 8:33 left first half. St. Joe up 7-6 on 46. J.P. Lewis, the safety, a two-way player for St. Joe, the leading tackler on the St. Joe team. The injured player walking very slowly off the field and seems to really be favoring that right shoulder. So we'll see if he is able to come back at all tonight. That's a blow to the secondary. Teddy McGinn will come in and take over that safety position. And we'll see what Mishawaka can do here with a key 3rd and 4 in their own territory at their own 37. Harness again, the back right behind Sam Shively, and they give it to Chris Harness, and he gets the first down past the 40-yard line. And that'll be a 1st and 10 for Mishawaka, brought to you by the RMB Car Company.
But it goes so quick. And again, if you're trying to read and then make a tackle, you're a little late. Mishawaka Cavemen checking their wristbands.
Snyder in motion. St. Joe jumped on the very first play of the game tonight with Snyder in motion, but I think that was more a case of nerves than anything else. Here on 1st and 10, Shively keeps it himself, and Sam Shively could be off to the races. Shively stripped by Hickey, who makes the recovery. Noah Hickey stripped Shively of the football and gets it back for St. Joe, back at the 30-yard line. The 2nd turnover of the night for the Cavemen.
30 yards on the carry and then the fumble. 2nd turnover.
And they wave the tomahawk over on the St. Joe sideline. That'll go to Hickey for forcing the turnover. You'll get another copy of it courtesy of Bethel College admissions. Shively looked like he might be off on a 60-yard touchdown run here. Hickey got turned around and all of a sudden reached out and said, "I'll take that."
Man, what a big play by Hickey. Good thing he picked up 30 yards, because otherwise it would have been another field position issue.
So now Ashton Roskowski goes to work. Lewis back in the game for St. Joe in motion and makes the catch out in the flat. And J.P. Lewis gets the first down up to the 44-yard line. It was Derek Dawson who brought him down. Dawson, who will play baseball at the University of Evansville, making the stop on the versatile St. Joe back.
14 yards on that completion. 6 out of 9 now for Roskowski.
And 2 of those were drops.
56 yards, absolutely.
He has been very accurate. Of course, they haven't asked him to throw it deep necessarily tonight. He hasn't made a pass for more than 15 yards, but he's been on the money with what he's thrown. Now he fires one over the head of, well, I guess I put the freebie curse on him right there. Was looking for Patrick Driscoll and put it too high.
Bill's Heating has been keeping families and businesses comfortable since 1951. You can relax knowing your family's comfort is their top priority. And Bill's Heating was voted best of the best by readers of the Goshen News 3 years in a row. It's that time of year, folks. Call Bill's Heating. Keep your family warm and safe.
You see the situation on the Thor Industries scoreboard at the bottom of your screen. 7:02 to go first half. St. Joe leading 7-6. Ashton Ruskowski, who is another one of these quarterbacks who trains with the former Irish signal caller Evan Sharpley, takes the snap and hands it off to John Driscoll. That jet sweep ran very well early in the game. It was sniffed out here by Mishawaka, as Derek Dawson was in there on the tackle for the Cavemen. And he had plenty of help that time.
No gain on the play, and so Mishawaka now in a good position maybe to get a stop. You've got the Indians behind the chains for the first time.
The one big difference is 3rd and 9 with a quarterback like Ruskowski. Not as daunting to an offense as it is maybe to the Mishawaka offense that does not like to throw it that much.
Let's see if Mishawaka maybe sends somebody in there to.
They had good pressure on Ruskowski early in this game. And now a timeout called by Mishawaka. Keith Kinder saw something that he didn't like, and so he wants to change up his defense a little bit. We'll keep it right here.
Folks, while you're cheering on your favorite team from the stands, know that Thor Industries is your biggest fan. As the largest RV manufacturer in the world and with 16 Thor companies in northern Indiana, we have a spot for you on our starting lineup. Visit ThorIndustries.com, find out more information, and get started at Thor Industries.
Next Friday, we take another step on the road down the Turney Trail, and we'll have IHSA regional action for you on TV 46. Could find ourselves at Breed Field, could find ourselves at Don Fungi Field in Bremen. As always, we'll make a decision on Monday, post it on Twitter and Facebook, and on our website at WHME.com.
And partner, when we do our Facebook on Monday, we'll probably won't have as many teams to talk about as we have the last couple of weeks, but boy, it's getting good, isn't it?
It'll be a much shorter version. By the way, if you're looking for some area scores, we can tell you Edwardsburg up in Michigan has a 16-0 lead on Paw Paw. That game in the second quarter. Here it's 3rd and 9 for St. Joe, leading 7-6, the ball at their own 44. Ruskowski lobs it down the field. He's got his man up to the 31. Austin Lee with a second grab of the night for a first down for St. Joe. There's an injured or at least slow to get up Mishawaka player. That's Donovan Snyder. You get another look from Bethel College admissions. Great job by the Indian line, giving them time. And Lee able to haul it in. They'll mark it at the 32-yard line. That's good for 24 yards. And Ruskowski with another on-the-money throw.
$80 yards passing for Ruskowski here in the first half.
Pulling guard, trying to get some room for John Driscoll. Driscoll stiff arms one man and then bangs into another before he's knocked out of bounds at the line of scrimmage. That one was well strung out by Nick Davis and the Mishawaka defense.
Building faith, character, and excellence since 1953, St. Joseph is the only private high school in Michiana awarded 4 stars from Indiana's Department of Education. All are welcome to an open house on Sunday, November 11th from 1 to 3 p.m. Discover St. Joe.
2nd and 10. Ruskowski with one receiver off to his right. Mishawaka's done a good job of keeping Connor Radigan in check tonight. But they want to send Radigan deep here. Whistles blown and flags thrown. And I think Mishawaka may have gotten a timeout right before the snap there. So another different formation by St. Joe causing Keith Kinder to call a timeout right here. No flag on the play. It was a timeout by Mishawaka.
And make sure he gets it right. Team down by a point. Would like to get a stop on this drive. Folks interested in improving all areas of your fitness program or sport? Join the Strength and Conditioning Center in Mishawaka, Beacon Sports Performance. They offer youth, high school, and adult performance training. Visit their website at beaconhealthandfitness.org. Do it today.
Saturdays on Pulse FM means college football. Which Purdue team is going to show up at Ross-Ade Stadium?
That's a good
the one
question.
that beat Ohio State, the one that lost to Michigan State. They'll have a challenge as the Iowa Hawkeyes come into Ross-Ade. Saturday, 3:30 kickoff on your home of the Boilermakers, Pulse FM.
Indiana enjoying a week off this week.
Yeah, and they'll take on that embattled Maryland program next week.
Well, hate to say somebody deserves what they get, but Maryland has dug themselves a hole.
Something about reaping and sowing. Yep. From the 32, Ruskowski overshoots Driscoll out in the flat, and it'll be 3rd and 10. So Keith Kinder saw the need for a defensive adjustment, called the timeout just in time because St. Joe had a really good matchup with Radigan one-on-one with a cornerback, and they didn't want that for Mishawaka.
Coming up at halftime, we'll have our TCU Student Athletes of the Week. Chance to visit with that man right there, number 15, Ashton Ruskowski. Outstanding leader, great student. Also a chance to visit with C.J. Fisher from Mishawaka. A couple of fine representatives of their respective schools.
Ruskowski looks left, now scrambles. Mishawaka in pursuit. Ruskowski throws a bullet on the run. Patrick Oliva for the first down to the 10-yard line. So Oliva, the 5'11 junior, known more for his skills as a kicker, but they do use him as a receiver. And he came up with the catch right here. You get another look on the Bethel College admissions replay.
When Oliva was wide open, he's waving to the quarterback.
It's a pickup of 22 on the play. And Ruskowski starting to rack up the passing yards now for the Tribe.
8 out of 13 now, 102 yards in the first half.
3 receivers to his left. Driscoll to his right. And Ruskowski pitches to Driscoll. And he's brought down after a pickup of 2, a swarm of maroon jerseys over there that time. Might have been maroon 5 that brought him down.
46 yards in the night now for Driscoll. And I'll tell you what, Ruskowski took a shot when he went down after he pitched the ball. Mishawaka clobbered him pretty good.
St. Joe can get a first down without putting the ball in the end zone. They're looking at a 2nd and 8 right here.
Seems like when St. Joe's been in 3rd and long, that's when they've come up with their best plays tonight. 2nd down here with 8 to go.
Ruskowski, bullet, through the hands of J.P. Lewis. And it's 3rd and 8.
8 out of 14 on the night, Chuck, and as you said, about 4 of those have just been on target, but not caught.
Stop me if you've heard this before. Bronson Yoder just had a 95-yard kickoff return for Northwood. And he ties the game with Angola at 7 apiece.
10th play of the drive coming up here for St. Joe. They took over the ball with 7:31 to go here in the 2nd quarter.
3rd and 8. 3 receivers to the left of senior quarterback Ashton Ruskowski. Mishawaka brings pressure. Ruskowski with the lob to the end zone. Is he in? Touchdown, St. Joe. Connor Radigan, his 43rd catch of the year, is good for 6.
Timing route, you could see it. Radigan says, I'll be in the corner. And the pass was thrown up nice and high. Radigan, big, strong, strapping young man, can go up and get it and out battle you for the football, and he comes down with a touchdown.
Radigan, who will be a preferred walk-on at the University of Notre Dame next year, shows you why Brian Kelly gave him that opportunity as he hauls in the 10-yard touchdown pass from Ruskowski. And now Patrick Oliva on to try the extra point. Boy, Ruskowski made some critical throws in that drive to keep it alive. Good snap. The kick by Oliva is good as well.
4:20 to go before halftime, and St. Joe looking for vengeance. They lost by 2 to the Cavemen earlier this year, but Noah Hickey's strip helped set up the drive. Then Austin Lee, Patrick Oliva, and Connor Radigan going right over Grant Jablonski, brings it down, holds on, keeps the feet in the end zone, and the Tribe is rolling on 46. A chilled crowd on hand on this November night, but the St. Joe fans across the way liking what they're seeing right now. Their Indians leading Mishawaka by a count of 14-6 with 4:20 left first half.
The drive for St. Joe, after the turnover, they went 70 yards in 10 plays, picked up 4 first downs, took 3:11 off the clock. And again, Ruskowski was outstanding, especially on those third downs. He is now 9 of 15 for the night, 112 yards, and the touchdowns. 2 touchdowns tonight.
Patrick Oliva, high spinning kick. C.J. Fisher at his 8. Fisher, Austin Lee brings him down at the 24-yard line. So Mishawaka will have to start deep in its own territory, but they've got the all-time leading rusher. It's a historically great position at Mishawaka. John Rogeman set the standard back in the 70s with 2,925 yards. Then a young man by the name of Blair DeCrane, who listens to Pulse FM every morning. 3,096 yards in the late 90s and the start of this century. Sam Schrader, who went on to Butler, 3,842 yards, but now Chris Harness has the record. He set it last week in the win over Riley with 3,867 yards, and he's built on that tonight. And it's Shively looking for room to run and find some. Shively will wrap the arms around the football this time and get up to the 35 for a first down, sponsored by R&B Car Company. 11 yards on the run for the Mishawaka quarterback.
27 yards tonight now for Shively. And Chuck, one of the things about getting the ball back with 4:20 to go, that's plenty of time for Mishawaka to go down the field, even though they don't throw the ball. Very efficient the way they run the ball, and I think they feel pretty comfortable. They've got enough time maybe to get down there and get on the board again.
Shively wants to throw. First time tonight. Has a man open. Too far for Brody Robinette. He wanted Robinette, who's his top receiver on the year, and the senior tried to chase it down but couldn't quite get there.
Good looking pass play. St. Joe's secondary did get pretty deep. I mean, he wasn't wide open,
but he still had a step on Lewis.
He did have a step.
2nd and 10. See how aggressive Keith Kinder is with this offense here with 3:42 to go before halftime. He's only got 1 timeout left. Harness up the middle, only 3 yards on that carry. Harness now up to about 62 for the game, as the St. Joe defense has really done a job on him. Michael Connery makes the stop that time.
Teachers Credit Union understands the importance of growing your future. Whether you're growing your family, your square footage, or your business, Teachers Credit Union is here for you with financial solutions that will help you succeed. Visit tcunet.com to start growing your future today. Federally insured by the NCUA, they are an equal housing opportunity lender.
3rd and 7. Look how deep St. Joe playing those linebackers, but they get a running start to the line of scrimmage. Shively runs right by him, and Houston finally brings him down at the 49-yard line, but not until Mishawaka gets another first down, sponsored by R&B Car Company. Shively making an excellent read on the option that time, and that's really the strength of his game, is being able to read these defenses. And boy, did he get a honey of a block from Sam Rashke that time. The guard got right into somebody to give him some room.
Shively's biggest carry of the night resulted in a fumble. Chuck, if they hadn't pulled the ball out of his hands, he might have gone for another 10 or 12, maybe even got in the end zone.
Now they give it on counter action to Donovan Snyder, his first carry of the night. J.P. Lewis tried to strip him, but Snyder gets up to the St. Joe 41, and that's good for another first down, sponsored by R&B Car Company. Snyder has been an effective weapon this year, carrying 47 times for 360 yards. To Harness, shedding tacklers, finally stood up after a pickup of 3 or 4 on the play. Connor Radigan got to him first.
67 yards now for Harness in the first half, 68 for Shively.
I would have to think the bulk of that 68 came on the run where he fumbled.
It did, absolutely.
2nd and 6 from the 37. Shively wants to throw. Has time. A bullet too high for Donovan Snyder.
There had a lot of traffic around him as well.
Indeed he did. There were a number of white jerseys in the area. Probably just as well Shively put the pass where he did.
He looked like he had a man open in the flat out to the right early in the play, but it took him time to get back and set up. And by the time he looked over the middle, incomplete pass. He's 0 for 2 on the night.
19 for 36 on the year, and he checks the wristband to see what's being signaled in on 3rd and 6. Still a minute 52 to go first half. Plenty of time.
And certainly Mishawaka is going to take 2 downs to get the first down if they have to.
And they'll have to reset the play clock. Keith Kinder saw that play clock was going down to 9, and his team hadn't been allowed to set up yet. Now they'll reset it to 25, and that should give Mishawaka plenty of time. Shively to throw. Out in the flat, Donovan Snyder. Boy, does he have room. Snyder with a first down and knocked out of bounds to stop the clock. Flag down on the play, though. We'll see what this is about. Brian Witten seems very confident it's against Mishawaka.
First thought I had was maybe hit out of bounds, but
it's holding against the Cavemen. It was called at the 26. It would march it back to the 36. There'd be a slight gain on the play, but they'd still have to replay the down to get the first down.
Be a gain of a couple.
And that'll set them up with about a 3rd and 4. They'll spot it down at the 37-yard line. Minute 36 to go here in the first half. Mishawaka trailing by 8.
Just the 3rd penalty of the night, 2nd against Mishawaka, was a tough one right there.
That was the most costly one, though, for the Cavemen so far. They would have had a first down deep in St. Joe territory. Look out, Shively escapes the blitz, now sets, fires, and it's intercepted. 3rd turnover of the night. This is Trevor Jakaki. Jakaki takes it out of bounds at the 48-yard line. So St. Joe gets its 3rd turnover of the night on defense. Keith Kinder was worried about the sloppiness of his team last week against Riley. Now let's see what the flag is about. Sam Shively says it should be a roughing the passer. We'll see.
If it is, that would nullify a huge play by St. Joe.
And indeed, personal foul, roughing the passer on St. Joe. Penalties have been the bane of St. Joe's existence at times this year. And it comes back to get Brian Witten's team again right now.
Can't put any time back on the clock, but with 1:22 to go, it's going to be first down for Mishawaka.
The time not nearly as much of a factor as the penalty. We'll try to catch it here on the Bethel College admissions replay. Shively getting away from tacklers. And then as he gets this pass off, Casey Connery seems to be leading the charge, but there were about 2 or 3 white jerseys there that took an extra step to get him. So 1st and 10 for Mishawaka at the St. Joe 22. A huge penalty on the Indians. Pitch out, Snyder. Will he carry it? Yes, he does, and he gets out of bounds. Taken out at about the 16-yard line. That'll stop the clock with 1:17 to go, and Snyder picks up about 6 on the play.
A little bit of a different look for Mishawaka right there. They're trying to throw different looks at St. Joe and having success.
Well, these two teams very familiar with each other. The coaches extremely familiar with each other. Keith Kinder and Brian Witten were Little League teammates back in the Osceola Little League 30 years ago.
Mishawaka with 2 yards passing, but 152 on the ground here in the first half.
Shively keeps it himself. Has room to run. Down to the 1-yard line. Sam Shively brought down at the 1 by Mark Heastand. But Mishawaka will have it 1st and goal with 1:11 to go here in the half. You get another look from Bethel College admissions.
So quick, so shifty. Gain of about 14 yards on the play.
Harness and Snyder came through the hole looking for people to block, and there was nobody. So they'll spot it at the 2. It's 1st and goal.
82 yards in the first half for Shively.
Now Mishawaka trying to drain some clock. They don't want St. Joe to have too much time here when the half ends. Shively up the middle. Did he get there? No. He'll be stopped at the 1.
But he hung on to the football.
Keith Kinder does have a timeout to use. And I think he might use it right here. With 29 seconds left to go in the first half. And Kinder wants to know exactly where that football is, how far he's got to go, and the ball spotted inside the 1.
I think it's about a 1-yard situation. Chuck, with no more timeouts available, you might have Shively roll out, and if he's got a man open, he can throw it. If he doesn't, he can run it, or he can throw it incomplete and stop the clock and give themselves another crack.
Well, this is not a Mishawaka offense that has been used to being held in check this year. In fact, the Cavemen have not scored fewer than 22 points in a game this season, and that was against an Elkhart Central defense that has had its moments this year and looked very strong. Of course, the Blazers playing in a sectional championship game tonight against Concord. The entire NIC, it seems, is in a sectional championship game. They have 6 teams playing for sectional championships tonight. They could win sectionals across 5 different classes. No other conference in Indiana can make that boast. 2nd and goal.
13th play of this drive.
Remember, it was kept alive by a roughing the passer penalty against St. Joe. Shively up the middle. Did he get into the end zone on second effort? It looks like he did. No signal yet from the linesman. Clock continues to tick, and they say Shively's down outside the goal line. So Mishawaka will quickly try to reset. You see the clock at the bottom of your screen. Shively, flag thrown as the play gets underway with 5 seconds left. I think St. Joe might have been offside.
Which is half the distance, or 3 1/4 inches.
But it does give Mishawaka a chance to get set. Kenzel Kelly jumped offside on the play. And so now Mishawaka will set. We won't show you the replay because they're already up to the line of scrimmage. And St. Joe wants to use a timeout now to set its defense on this very important play. It'll be 3rd and goal from inside the 1. Watch the right-hand corner of your screen. Kelly just beating the snap count, trying to anticipate. And, you know, it's a risk-reward kind of thing when you're down at that end of the field. You're only giving up a foot on the penalty. If you guess right, you might stop the touchdown and end the half.
Boy, he was lined up at an angle. He came right across the center, which eliminated the leverage you might have as a quarterback following your center. So he took that away. And the St. Joe Indians, boy, this is a huge play in this football game. If Mishawaka could score, they go in the locker room about even, maybe even. That's a full 2/3 of a yard to go right here.
Shively looks over. Harness is behind him. Harness leads the way. Shively walked in, but a timeout was called for St. Joe right before the snap. Little gamesmanship going on between the old buddies, Kinder and Witten.
Well, I thought they were going to give the ball that time to Harness. And when he went into the end zone, I thought that's a good call, but he didn't have the ball, and Shively just walked in behind him. So you see Brian Witten applauding his team on the effort they're making here.
Let's give you a couple score updates from around the area. Valparaiso with a 14-0 lead on Penn in the second quarter at TCU Freed Field. And Northwood leads Angola 18-15 3:35 left first half. Wow. So some great games going on right now around the area, including right here at Steel Stadium. St. Joe with a 14-6 lead as we hit the waning seconds of the first half. Also, Concord at halftime with a 10-0 lead on Elkhart Central.
Here we go.
So second and goal, actually third and goal, excuse me. Harness, handoff, touchdown, Mishawaka. Chris Harness bangs in behind the right side of his offensive line. And for Harness, that's touchdown number 22 of the year. And now will Mishawaka go for 2?
They had 4 minutes and 20 seconds to do something about it. They used 4:18 of it. What a drive.
Excellent time management, and now Keith Kinder will go for the 2-point conversion.
76 yards and 15 plays for Mishawaka.
2 receivers way out to the right of Sam Shively. Of course, Chris Harness right behind him. Shively rolls to his right, looks, throws, 2-pointer. It's Bradley Taylor on the catch, and we're knotted up at 14. What a drive by the Cavemen. And St. Joe looked as though it had forced its 3rd turnover of the night. A roughing the passer penalty kept the drive alive, and the Cavemen took advantage of new life.
Huge play as it turns out in this game, but nice job by Shively. Waits for his man to clear. Well, again, there's another new number heard from Mishawaka, and Chuck, going into the game, we thought that Taylor would have to maybe make some plays. Snyder would have to make some plays.
And they did in that drive.
Right, and St. Joe's gotten plays from Radigan that we thought would be a,
But Austin Lee has had a couple of big catches.
Lee's had a great night.
So 14-14. You have to figure Keith Kinder's just going to go with an onside kick here rather than take the risk of kicking it deep to John Driscoll.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance in the world that Driscoll touches this ball.
There you see the St. Joe special teams maven.
I'm kicking that ball out of bounds if I have to.
Patton Snyder will do the kicking. And Snyder with a little pooch kick. St. Joe will fair catch it at the 40, and that'll give them time to run one Hail Mary play if they want to. Or Brian Witten might just take a knee because St. Joe will get the ball to start the second half.
Well, the special teams for Mishawaka has done a pretty good job here tonight.
Well, they missed the extra point, but other than that,
got the 2-point conversion.
They came up with the 2-pointer. Although the offensive coordinator might tell you that that's an offensive play and not a special teams play.
I think Steve's going to tell you that it's a special
well,
teams.
I'm sure Steve Sheltraw will try to take credit. There's no question about that.
But the kickoffs that they've had have been a good idea. They gave up field position. First time they gave it to St. Joe at the 46. This time at the 40. But both have eliminated one of the big weapons, and that is Driscoll running a kickoff back. Now, see if they have an end around. They have something special here.
Well, Sam Shively is in the game as a defensive back right now for Mishawaka in a prevent defense. And let's see if Rushkowski just winds and fires one down the field. He will lob it out, and it goes well out of bounds. And the first half has come to an end here at Steel Stadium in Mishawaka, with the number 2 team in the state, the Mishawaka Cavemen, all knotted up with St. Joe at 14-14 in a terrific first half of action. If the second half lives up to that, we're going to see a good one here in the Princess City tonight. Bo Hunt down on the field, hoping to get a chance to talk with Mishawaka head coach Keith Kinder as the teams leave the field, and he's got him for a Bills Heating sideline report.
you go from that half, a couple turnovers, a possible third turnover, but yet you go into halftime, it's a 0-0 ball game. You guys get the ball the second half.
They're going to let us have it? We got the ball first, I think. Yeah, so I think we're going to have to kick it to them. It'd be nice if they let us have it. What a good half. I mean, that's just a good football game. Turnovers, you know, if we turn the ball over again, we're probably going to get beat. So we got to take care of the football in the second half.
Adjustments defensive-wise with their passing attack?
I think our defense is playing pretty good. I mean, they had the ball on our half of the field the entire first quarter, and we didn't give up any points. So I'm really pleased with the way they played. 24 is a really good player. He's going to make some plays like that. We just got to try to limit him.
Thanks, Keith.
All right, thanks.
Back to you guys.
All right, Bo, stick around, everybody. Coming up at halftime on the Be the Match, Mary's Match halftime report, you'll have our TCU Student Athletes of the Week, plus halftime stats and highlights. And for our Facebook Live viewers, we'll give you scores from other games. It all comes your way next. 14-14. St. Joe got on the board in the second quarter with a Connor Radigan touchdown catch, but Chris Harness found the end zone. Pay dirt for Mishawaka, and then Brad Taylor with a 2-point conversion. All knotted up on 46.
And we welcome you back to Steel Stadium for this 4A sectional championship game and a chance to honor our student athletes of these two schools. Brought to you by TCU. They remind you to go online at tcunet.com and find out how you can become a member today. With us from Mishawaka High School, C.J. Fisher. And C.J., we're going to talk to the visitor first, if that's all right.
Cool with me.
You guys get along pretty good right now, but I don't know when the game starts. Well, you know by now it's halftime. Ashton Roskowski is with us from St. Joseph High School. And Ashton, first of all, congratulations on all your success on the football field, but also basketball. You're involved in track and busy guy, but you've had a great run at St. Joe. Congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Talk about what it takes to get that done. You're like a year-round guy. You're in the gym or you're in the competition all year, but you really have to be disciplined about getting your work done.
It takes a lot of discipline and a lot of late nights is what it comes down to. Spending a lot of nights up past 12 and getting homework done or studying for tests. Some early mornings getting up and lifting and working on some extra homework. And it takes a strong support system, which I have at home and with the St. Joe community.
One of the things about a young person that's very busy like that, you have to make choices. And a lot of times you got to give up the night out with the guys and running around and going and get pizza and that kind of thing. But when you make those decisions, you're looking in the long run and what your goals are. What do you want to do for college?
I'm going to go play college football somewhere. Not sure yet, but I'm going to study either criminal justice or pre-law, try to get an FBI.
Any reason to have a law career?
Yeah, the family, that's kind of the family business, so I'm going to try to get into that too.
Very proud of all the Roskowskis and what they've done for our community. Talk about the people that matter. You mentioned at home, but Mom and Dad, give everybody a shout out.
Absolutely. My mom and dad, all the sacrifice and all the love they give me. My brother and sister and the rest of my family. My girlfriend Caroline and her whole family, they support me as well. And all my teachers also at St. Joe and in the whole St. Joe community and in people outside of it across the country and in Canada too. I'll give my family in Canada a shout out too.
You know, this was a political debate. You just went over your allotted time, but congratulations on your success. Best wishes.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Ashton Roskowski from St. Joe High School. C.J. Fisher is with us. C.J. is involved in football, obviously, but also basketball and baseball. You're another busy guy. Talk about how you get it done and handle the time commitment.
Oh, it just requires a lot of late nights, loads of help from my parents and my friends. You know, I miss a class or something, they help me out, send me the notes. Staying up late, a little extra studying.
Your leadership is part of the reason this team has had so much success, and a lot of good leaders on this team. I know it's a very tight-knit senior class, and that's part of the buy-in, isn't it, to be successful?
Oh yeah, we love each other. We spent 6 years together. It's just a bond and a brotherhood.
Talk about what you want to study in college.
I think I'm going to try to major in political science.
In the world, no, I'm kidding. It's we can certainly use leaders in our community and certainly in our country this year or this time of year. But talk about the people in your support group that have helped you.
Oh, my mom and dad, they're awesome. They do so much for me, and my whole family, my grandma, my grandparents, they're awesome. And I just got to give a big shout out to my friends and the Mishawaka community. They're great.
All right, give us the big answer to the trivia question. What's CJ stand for?
Carl Jr. I'm Carl Michael Fisher III, so my parents call me CJ.
Well, it saves some time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
All right, congratulations, CJ, on all you've done.
Thank you.
All right, C.J. Fisher from Mishawaka, Ashton Ruskowski from St. Joe. Our Student Athletes of the Week brought to you by TCU. TCU reminds you to go online at tcunet.com and find out how you can become a member today. We're back with halftime stats and highlights in just a moment. You're watching the Sectional Championship in Class 4A on TV 46.
This edition of the TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week is being brought to you by the electrical workers of Local 153. They're making our communities brighter. Under the bright lights of Steel Stadium tonight, St. Joe and Mishawaka all knotted up at 14 apiece here at the half. Chuck Freeby, Bob Nagel, and maybe even Bo Hunt back there somewhere high above the fray.
Getting warm?
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
14-14 ball game, and Bob, impressive by both teams at times tonight, and both teams can probably kick themselves a little bit in the locker room at halftime as well.
Well, we've decided nothing with a 14-14 score, but we've had some outstanding plays by both teams, and Mishawaka's had fumbles from their two big guys. Shively and Harness have both fumbled today. They could add another one, but a penalty offset it. Not much in the way of penalties tonight, not much way of really bad plays. Both teams playing very hard. That's what we expected, and a lot of big plays in that first half.
Well, let's show you how it got to be this way here at Steel Stadium. Mishawaka came out on the very first possession, running the ball hard with Chris Harness right up the middle. Sam Shively would take it in on the option from 5 yards out, and the Cavemen missed the extra point, had a 6-0 lead. But then St. Joe's defense tightened things up in the second quarter, and they force a fumble by Harness. Joey Gillis pounced on the loose change, and St. Joe would go to work. Ashton Ruskowski to Austin Lee for the score. Indians took a 7-6 lead. They would be able to force another turnover here. Shively looked like he might be loose on a touchdown run, but Noah Hickey made the strip, pounced on the fumble. St. Joe worked the ball down the field with the passing game. Ruskowski, look at the beautiful grab by Connor Radigan in the back of the end zone. 14-6, but late in the first half, Mishawaka embarked on a drive. Chris Harness pushes it in from the 1 yard line with 2 seconds left in the half. Cavemen decide to go for two. Bradley Taylor makes the catch, tied at 14, and a look at the numbers in the first half would show you just how even this game is.
And what I love too is that both teams are doing what they do best. St. Joe throwing the ball for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half. Mishawaka just 2 yards on one short completion, but they had 167 yards on the ground. That's what they do. So you got two good teams coming in here doing what they do best and overcoming some obstacles in the first half. But we are hooked in a dandy. Time of possession just about even. The turnover is a big number. Mishawaka got to feel pretty good. Put it on the ground twice. They're tied at halftime.
One of these teams may be just 24 minutes, if we don't go overtime, from a sectional championship. But who will it be? St. Joe or Mishawaka? They're all knotted up at 14. This has been the Mary's Match. Be the Match halftime report. For our Facebook Live viewers, stick around. We'll have some scores from other games coming up for you in just a moment here on 46. This edition of the TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week is being brought to you in part by J.B. Macri Orthodontics. Trust your smile to the experts. Halftime here at Steel Stadium, a 14-14 tie as we get ready to start the second half. I'm sure both teams are looking to make adjustments. We heard from Keith Kinder. Bo Hunt with the Bills Heating Sideline Report. What about Brian Witten?
I got a chance to talk to Brian, and he talked about, having great field possession that first half for most of it, and they weren't able to capitalize. He goes, we just have to finish drives. We were right there. We had an opportunity to take some big leads. We just didn't do it. And he goes, on defense, too, we really had to shut them down that last 4 minutes. We didn't. We had the costly penalty, and that really hurt us because we could have went in the halftime with that lead, if not even more. Guys?
So you see Ashton Ruskowski warming up on the St. Joe sideline. He has been the man in the first half for St. Joe. John Driscoll had a pretty good run early in the game, but it was really the right arm of Ruskowski that led St. Joe to both of its touchdowns.
And Chuck, Ashton does not want to end his high school career here tonight. So he may take a little bit more on himself to try to lead that team down the field. And again, having Driscoll in the backfield certainly helps, but that's a guy that can and did run the team for a lot of the time on the season by himself, but they need that balanced attack.
Both he and C.J. Fisher very impressive in those halftime interviews.
Yes, they were, and a couple of outstanding young men. And you know, I love the fact that they're so family. You know, it's just such a strong family thing that they help them with all their academics and all the. You know, do you think about it? How many rides you got to have to practice, and how many rides to workouts during the course of your high school career, and families are all involved in their success.
So Patton Snyder gets ready to kick it off for Mishawaka, excuse me. He'll be kicking to St. Joe, who will receive down at the north end of the stadium. John Driscoll not very deep, as he expects Snyder to squib another kick. 14-14 in this Class 4A sectional championship game. The winner plays a team from out of the region next week, either Lowell or Hammond Morton. But more importantly for the winner, they get a sectional trophy. Snyder's short kickoff taken by Asante Anglin at the 21-yard line. Anglin works his way to the 33. So again, good field position for the St. Joe Indians to start the second half.
So we got to give Mishawaka credit. They're doing what they have to do to keep Driscoll from having a chance to break one.
And what were the numbers for Ruskowski throwing the ball in the first half?
9 out of 16, 2 touchdowns, 112 yards.
And St. Joe, as you see there, scored all 14 of their points off Mishawaka turnovers. So Ruskowski coming out, giving a little dap to every one of his teammates, making sure they're engaged and involved as we start the second half. 3 receivers off to his right. Ruskowski wants to throw, looks deep for Driscoll, he's got it, and there's nobody around him. Touchdown, St. Joe. 67 yards from Ruskowski to Driscoll, and the Indians are back in front.
14 seconds on the time of possession, in case you're wondering.
What a call by the St. Joe coaching staff. They obviously saw something at halftime, wanted to exploit it, and did.
Boy, any chance you get the ball to Driscoll, especially behind the defense. When he caught that ball, that play was over. It was good pursuit, certainly coming up for Mishawaka, but no way they're going to catch him.
Keith Kinder said the first time they played St. Joe, they got beat on 2 deep balls. Well, it just happened again right there. Patrick Oliva on to try the extra point. The kick is blocked. Well, we told you special teams would be huge in this one. The kick blocked, and St. Joe with a 20-14 lead on Mishawaka. But let's take another look at the touchdown pass from Ruskowski to Driscoll. And my goodness, was he wide open.
You know, we're talking a little bit about Ruskowski taking the team on his back, and I think maybe a little communication there with his buddy Driscoll. Said, hey, let's give it a shot.
The safeties were obviously coming up and biting, but the closest guy to Driscoll was a linebacker, Derek Dawson, and he wasn't going to catch him. So Brian Witten shaking his head at that blocked extra point, hoping that that doesn't come back and haunt his team. Up 20-14 here early third quarter. Patrick Oliva will kick off. Bradley Taylor and C.J. Fisher are back deep for the Cavemen. Mishawaka had to battle all through that second quarter, coming from behind. Thought they were in a good place, tied 14-14, and that lasted all of 14 seconds of the second half.
You just have to know where Driscoll is on every play, just as you do with Harness for Mishawaka. And teams have had a good run at times tonight. At times they've left the door open and the horses got out.
The pair of twos beats just about everything else in this hand tonight. Oliva with a high kickoff. Taylor back in his own end zone, and it's a touchback. And Mishawaka will start 1st and 10 at its own 20. So Oliva gets some good foot into that one. Not much of a breeze here tonight, but he didn't need it.
Well, the Mishawaka Cavemen come out down by 6 points. And partner, imagine if they hadn't put that drive together at the end of the first half, they could be in a serious hole right here. But I think they feel pretty confident they're going to get the ball with pretty good field position at the 20 and see what they can do.
Chris Harness, the school's all-time leading rusher, had 67 yards in that first half. Sam Shively, the quarterback, led the way with 83.
Pretty good balance.
And it's Harness off the right side. Explodes out for about 3 yards on the play. Smothered again by the interior of the St. Joe defense. Joey Gillis, who's had a fine game on defense tonight, comes over and makes the stop. The 5'11 senior. Gillis had a key fumble recovery last year against Riley in the sectional and made one earlier tonight.
When you see the St. Joe defense line up, the linebackers are given about 4 yards. Now, they're not wanting to give up 4 yards on the carry, but they're coming forward at the snap, and they're able to maybe make a read at which direction the ball is going.
Well, Harness gets the ball this time, and he goes to the 35-yard line, and that's good for a first down. So Chris Harness looking more like he did on the first possession of the ball game tonight, where he gets behind the left side of that line, and there's a St. Joe player down at the 35-yard line and hobbled. Cannot make out who the injured player is from this vantage point.
Harness down with 82 yards, 83 yards for Shively so far.
And we're told the injured player is Luke Leonard. And Leonard doubled up down there on the field as Brian Witten comes over along with members of the St. Joe training staff. Maybe he just had the wind knocked out of him. So Leonard will slowly walk off the sideline, and Mishawaka will look at a 1st and 10 from its own 35. St. Joe, as usual, has been banged up with injuries this year. Driscoll missed some time. Lewis missed some time. Connery missed last week. Of course, Crude up in the stroke.
It's been a team that has battled through adversity, and there's a lot of guys out there in uniform that are a little banged up tonight for St. Joe and for Mishawaka, but St. Joe also missing their center tonight, who's out with the protocol for concussion.
It's Will Faulkner. Here's Chris Harness on the run, and Harness picks up 12 more yards. Actually 11. They'll spot it at the 46-yard line, but it's another Mishawaka first down as Harness starts to approach the 100-yard mark for the Knights.
And he's gone past Shively now, which ought to tell you one thing, partner. Shively's probably got a carry coming up here pretty soon.
Well, especially after Harness has had it 2 in a row, but those two have worked pretty well, so why wouldn't you give it to him again? And they do, and he explodes up the middle to the 44-yard line. He'll be close to another first down. And again, that Mishawaka offensive line, I don't know that they get talked about enough, but that group of guys like Eric Vargo and Ethan Sargent, Wyatt Sellers, Sam Raschke, and Ricky King, really moving people out of the way. They spot Harness back at the 45, so he's short of the first down, 2nd and 1. And it's Harness again. This time he only gets about 3 yards, but it's enough for the first down. And the Cavemen moving the ball and the chains here in the 3rd.
.105 yards now on the night for Harness. What do you know, partner? He's over 100 yards.
Well, and he's about, let's see, at 105, he's about 28 yards short of the 4,000 mark for his career. He's capable of getting that on one run. Shively, though, keeps it himself this time, battles his way to the 39-yard line, pick up a 3 on the play for the Mishawaka QB. Sam will play baseball at Taylor University next year. Has been a 3-sport athlete, but baseball is his best sport. He got the mound win in the regional last year against Penn, went 8-1 and had an ERA of 0.81 last season.
Pretty impressive.
That'll work. Second and 6. It is Shively off the right side. Radigan brings him down, but I think Shively's got another first down. 7-yard pickup on the play, and he gets up to the 31-yard line.
Harness now at 93 yards, so Mishawaka over 200 yards rushing for the ball game.
First and 10 from the 31.
Shively gets up to that line of scrimmage and makes some reads. He's looking to where the defensive ends are, where the linebackers are.
Puts a man in motion, gives it to Harness. Harness carrying tacklers with him out to the 22-yard line. Pickup of 9 for the 5'7", 175-pound fullback. Harness ran for 219 yards the first time these two teams played back on September 28th.
Keeps battering that St. Joe defensive front. Picking up double figures just about every carry right now.
Second and 2. Shively gives it to Harness, and Harness took a beating from Kenzel Kelly at the 24-yard line. Oh, we saw Kelly do some popping in the Elkhart Central game this year, and he delivered another blow right there.
You saw him make some big hits in the Marion game as well. I'll tell you what, he has made himself a good front liner there for the St. Joe Indians.
Quick off the ball, has had 70 tackles this year, 12 of them for loss, now 13 after that play. Third and 3. Harness, left side, first down. Diving forward, the body always angled and moving forward, and he gets up to the 18-yard line that time. And Mishawaka will move the chains, although we've got a flag on the play. We'll see if this is a face mask against St. Joe. It looked like somebody might have gotten a piece of it as Harness went diving by.
I love Harness's body control because he was losing his balance and he knew he wasn't going to make a long run, but he got himself in position. There's the face mask right there.
Yep, good call. Teddy McGinn got a piece of it. So it's only a 5-yard face mask. He let go as soon as he had it. But it's first and 10 from the 13. Mishawaka trying to take the lead, trailing by 6 with 7 minutes to go, third quarter. Shively looks over the situation. Play clock down to 11. Harness again, left side. Harness towards the 2. Radigan finally brought him down. And another first down for the Cavemen. This is very similar to the first drive of the ball game tonight. An 11-yard pickup for Chris Harness.
He's gone between 8 and 14 yards on his carries here in the second half. That 11-yarder gives him 130 for the ball game.
Mishawaka really slamming the ball off the left side behind Wyatt Sellers and Eric Varga. This time they'll go right side. Harness, touchdown, Mishawaka. Chris Harness finds the end zone for the second time tonight. The 23rd time this season on the ground. And the Cavemen can take the lead with an extra point.
What a ball game.
Patton Snyder missed on his only previous PAT attempt tonight, but he's been 46 of 50 this season. C.J. Fisher is the holder. Mishawaka moving people around on the line of scrimmage. And now a flag thrown, and somebody from St. Joe lined up offside.
Wow. Well, one is enough to take the lead here, so I don't see Mishawaka regrouping, although with Harness in your backfield.
C.J. Fisher says we don't even want the penalty. we're happy spotting it where we are.
Teams in this game working toward a great finish, and so is a team from Imagineering Finishing Technologies, partners with industries including aerospace, automotive, military and defense, medical, and precision machining. At IFT, quality is a way of life.
I think Fisher figured he already had the tee down. Why move it? High snap, and the kick is blocked. And the special teams come through again for St. Joe, and we're tied at 20. 6:18 to go in the third. And back and forth we go. Chris Harness's second touchdown of the night has knotted this one at 20-20. Anybody can see that on 46. This edition of the TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week brought to you in part by Imagineering Finishing Technologies. IFT, where quality is a way of life. So Pat Snyder has had a bit of a rough night. He missed an extra point, then had one blocked. And number 20 finds himself in a 20-20 game right now. And with St. Joe weapons back deep in Anglin and Driscoll, let's see if Keith Kinder orders a squib kick here. He orders a short kick that Anglin will finally pick up at the 25-yard line and be dropped right there. Well, Keith Kinder had concerns before the game about special teams when he talked with Bob Nagel.
Well, in the first game, they blocked a PAT, which is why it's a 2-point game. They typically, this year, they've been better than us on special teams, I'd say. We've focused a lot on it. We're trying to get better at it. We made some mistakes in week 9 in the special teams, and if we do that, we're going to get beat tonight. We got to be good on the special teams this evening.
Say mixed reviews so far on the Mishawaka special teams tonight. Right now, they need big plays from their defense. As you see the numbers on Ashton Ruszkowski, who has thrown for 3 touchdowns. He'll hand it off here to J.P. Lewis. And look at Lewis burst forward with a nice run up to the 38. First down sponsored by R&B Car Company.
Lewis' first carry of the night. He's been a target for the passing game, 11 yards there. Lewis spent some time on the DL this year.
He's a track man. He's run for over 400 yards this season now after that carry. Midway through the third quarter, tied at 20 in the Class 4A sectional championship.
So you really have to know where Driscoll is. He's not behind the quarterback, so he could be. There he goes in action.
And it's Driscoll on the jet sweep. He explodes through the hole and picks up about 6, dragging tacklers with him. TJ Rux made the stop that time. Rux, the 245-pound junior who can squat over 400 pounds.
Driscoll now with 52 yards on the night.
2nd and 5 for the Tribe. Three receivers off to the right of Ashton Ruszkowski.
Only 2 defenders over there.
The senior signal caller takes advantage of it and finds Driscoll. And Driscoll trying to work his way up to the midfield stripe and does, and gets a first down sponsored by R&B Car Company. He was hoping to get a block from his brother Patrick that time, and Patrick was able to stave off a person just long enough to get John the first down.
Gain of 6 yards on the play, 11 of 18 now. 185 yards for Driscoll, or for Ruszkowski.
And when we talk about the Driscoll brothers, it's actually the Driscoll triplets out here on the field. Ryan, John, and Patrick. It's John on the carry. It's John to the 35-yard line with another first down, sponsored by R&B Car Company. John Driscoll having himself a night.
66 yards on the night for Driscoll.
That's on the ground.
That's on the ground. Good job. He got 67-yard touchdown reception to start the second half. Back and forth we go.
Been a fun one to call. We knew it was going to be an offensive showcase, and so far it's lived up to billing. Radigan would appear to have single coverage down at the bottom of your screen. Let's see if they go his way. Roskowski the other way, and he threw it over the head of an open receiver, Patrick Oliva. It'll be 2nd and 10.
A little bit of pressure by the Mishawaka Cavemen that time.
Ashton will tell you, though, he wished he had that one back because there was some room for Oliva to run.
Committed to faith, character, and excellence for 65 years, St. Joseph High School offers unparalleled opportunities in academics, athletics, and the arts. All are welcome to an open house on Sunday, November 11th from 1 to 3 p.m. Discover St. Joe. Learn more at stjoehigh.com.
St. Joe drumline trying to keep that student body fired up over on the far side. Roskowski with time this time. Over the middle, broken up by Jablonski. They wanted to go to counter Radigan, and Grant Jablonski said not this time.
Jablonski had a big pick 6 in the first round of the playoffs for Mishawaka.
He has improved dramatically as a defensive back this year. And here Roskowski threw a nice ball. Looked like he had Radigan behind him. And Jablonski gets there at the last minute to break it up, because if Radigan hauls that one in, it's probably 6.
Yeah, it was a well-thrown ball, well defended. That's good football. You know, the touchdown pass to Radigan, defender was right there.
And that was Jablonski on that one, too. Caveman showing blitz. Roskowski pitches out to Driscoll, and Driscoll running up the field has the first down to the 20. Excellent call against the blitz. I don't know if that was originally called or an audible, but either way, it gets Driscoll 15 yards in the first down. Sponsored by R&B Car Company.
Driscoll now at 81 yards for the ball game. Want to thank Chick-fil-A, Mishawaka Main Street location. They invite you to take a break from your Black Friday shopping. Bring a new unwrapped toy of at least $5 in value for Toys for Tots from 6:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. or from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. and you'll get a special treat from Chick-fil-A. A big thank you to the team at Chick-fil-A. They fed our crew tonight, did a great job. They're on Main Street, Mishawaka.
Driscoll bouncing off of people. Finally, a flag comes in on this play after what appeared to be a pickup of 3. That just looked awkward all the way around.
It really did. Usually that could be a result of somebody getting pulled down. We'll see what the call is.
Holding call against St. Joe will cost them 10. Not much question that Keith Kinder is going to want to take the penalty here.
5 penalties tonight for St. Joe for 36 yards.
None bigger than the roughing the passer penalty in the second quarter that kept Mishawaka's touchdown drive in that stanza alive.
One of the real impressive numbers last week for St. Joe is the fact they only had 16 yards in penalties.
Take a look at Keith Kinder, 1999 Jimtown grad, a 2-time state champion quarterback. Spent 5 years as the offensive coordinator under Bart Curtis. So the penalty moves the ball back to the 38-yard line. St. Joe looking at a 1st and 18.
A little over 3 minutes on this drive so far. Started at their own 27.
Roskowski looks right. Now pulls up. He wants to lob it for Hickey, but it's too far.
And Roskowski went down hard after the pass was released, but defenders were there.
I guess Driscoll was actually the intended receiver that time. I thought it was for Hickey, but either way, the pass thrown too far, and it'll be 2nd and 18.
11 of 21 now for Roskowski. A little bit under his season average.
So 2nd and 18. Up here in the Mishawaka press box, they're encouraging their team to watch the screen here on 2nd down. Let's see if the Cavemen do come with a blitz. They do. It's picked up, and Roskowski throws a diving catch by Radigan at the 19-yard line. Beautiful grab that time by Radigan. And Radigan with his, I believe that's his 3rd catch tonight.
I think it is, Carter.
That would be his 45th of the year, and it kind of highlights the difference in philosophies between these two teams. Coming into the game, Radigan had more pass receptions than the number of passes Mishawaka had thrown all season.
194 yards passing now on the night for Ruskowski.
Looking at a 3rd and 9 from the Caveman 19. Ruskowski scrambling and dives forward to about the 18-yard line. 4th and 8, and do they go to Patrick Oliva for a field goal attempt here? He has missed a field goal tonight, and he's had an extra point blocked. But Brian Witten shows confidence in his kicker, who booted 6 field goals this season. And Oliva looks like he'll try this one from right at 35 yards. Ruskowski, the holder. Actually, they'll spot it down for a 34-yard attempt. The snap is good. The kick is on its way, and it is good. Oliva bangs it through from 34 yards out, and St. Joe grabs the lead at 23-20.
1:14 left to go in the third quarter.
The 7th field goal of the year for the St. Joe kicker.
First time this game was decided by 2 points. Right now it's a 3-pointer, but we still got 13 minutes left to go. Oliva, good form right here. Got a good kick there.
Well, he had a clean snap too that time. I think that made a big difference in his timing and his confidence level. He had plenty of time to look at that one going right down Main Street.
Well, the other things about St. Joe, you know, we watched them in practice. We were over there this week, and you know, they're kicking off the artificial surface at home, so you're kicking off the dirt surface grass here in Mishawaka, which is, by the way, in really good shape tonight. But it's a little different. You got to adjust to it, but he did a good job there.
So now 1:14 left here in the third quarter, and St. Joe once again in the lead. Also halftime score. Bremen up 21-0 on Bluffton. Third quarter, Valpo leads Penn 21-0. Second quarter, it's 28-0 Michigan City. And third quarter, Concord leading Elkhart Central by a score of 10-7. Also, Northwood on top of Angola, 26-24. That's in the third quarter. And Marion with a comfortable 21-7 lead on Maconaquah. Here, 23-20 St. Joe. Oliva's kickoff taken by Taylor back at the 3. Taylor up the right side, finally brought down at about the 27-yard line. Making the tackle for St. Joe is Connor Farrell.
Keep talking about how even these numbers are. Last drive for St. Joe started at 27. Guess where Mishawaka starting? 27-yard line. That scoring drive for St. Joe. They went 73 yards in 11 plays, picked up 5 first downs, and ran 5:04 off the third quarter clock. We're down to just over a minute to go in the third quarter. Boy, partner, this is going to be a great one.
The first time these two teams played, each team only had 8 possessions. And it's a similar pace here tonight.
This is possession number 7 for Mishawaka.
And they have the first one of the night. Here's Harness, right side, with room to run. Harness fumbles, and St. Joe has it at the 43. Casey Connery pounced on the loose football. Third turnover of the night for Mishawaka. And they're going crazy on the St. Joe side.
About a 15-yard gain and then a fumble again.
Harness looked like he had a nice gain going that time, and he did. He picked up 16, but when he got taken up in the air, the ball fell out, and Connery fell right on it. Good strip by the Indians that time. Now Mishawaka hoping they can force a turnover or at least hold St. Joe to maybe 0 or a field goal here and keep it a 1-touchdown game. Ruskowski hands it off. I believe that's Lewis on the carry up to the 39, and a 4-yard pickup for JP that time.
14 yards tonight for Lewis rushing. Time for maybe another play here. Third quarter.
See the story on the Thor Industries scoreboard there at the bottom of the screen. Mishawaka with 8 turnovers in the last 2 games. On 2nd and 6, Ruskowski fires in the flat, has Noah Hickey. Good move by Hickey, and he moves it up, fumbles the football, and Mishawaka, no, they say he's down. They say he's down at the 16.
Ground cannot cause the fumble. St. Joe got to be careful here.
Well, both teams do here. A lot of extracurriculars after the play. I don't know that players heard the whistle, but they're saying that Hickey was down, but our truck is saying that this should have been called a fumble, and you'll get another look at it here on the Bethel College admissions replay. Here's C.J. Fisher on the strip. Did he get it out before Hickey's knee hit? You betcha he did.
Yep. It was out, but no replay available in high school.
Yep.
Keith Kinder thinking the same thing. I think that was a fumble, but he handled himself pretty well right there.
The Mishawaka faithful down below. The Boo Birds are ringing out, and the third quarter comes to an end with the St. Joe Indians trying to avenge a 2-point loss earlier in the year. Well, right now they've got a 3-point lead as we go to the 4th in the sectional final on 46. This edition of the TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week being brought to you in part by Bill's Heating, keeping families and businesses comfortable since 1951. We go downstairs for a Bill's Heating sideline report. And Bo Hunt, what a wild end to that third quarter. What did you see from down there on the sideline in that stanza?
Well, that last play right there, to me, I didn't get to see the replay, but I was right in front of it. It looked like the ball came loose before he was even coming close to the ground. It was moving around. The ball didn't come out. So, I mean, I think Coach Kinder did a great job of really keeping his composure there in the sideline because he could have really went off. He was very close to that play as well. But, you know, they made the call, and you got to live with it.
So Ruskowski goes to throw on the first play of the quarter, and John Driscoll's got a touchdown catch for St. Joe. Or was he incomplete? They wave it off. Well, they say that Driscoll stepped out of bounds before he came back in. Driscoll trying to say that he was shoved out of bounds. There is a flag down on the play. The officials talking things over down there on the sidelines. Boy, the Mishawaka crowd is going to go nuts if they overrule this and call a touchdown.
Going to try to determine if he was forced out, then he can come back in.
That's the discussion going on. An illegal touching of the ball by St. Joe. They say that Driscoll went out on his own.
By the way, that last completion by Ruskowski gave him 216 yards passing in the ballgame.
Stepped on the pylon coming back in, but that would place him inbounds. But they're saying Driscoll went out of bounds on his own, and the replay would back that up. It's a 5-yard penalty against the Indians, and it'll be 2nd and 15 at the 21. Keith Kinder imploring his defense for a big play right here. Ruskowski with an empty backfield. Driscoll in motion. Ruskowski keeps it himself, and now in trouble, and down he goes. They made a sandwich back there. Derek Dawson came forward and knocked him down. And it'll be a loss of 3 on the play. Thomas Frayling was in there as well, as you get another look from Bethel College admissions.
A couple of sacks tonight from Mishawaka. Good pursuit.
All night long, St. Joe has been struggling with timing issues with this freshman setter in there, replacing the concussed Will Faulkner.
Ruskowski with minus 5 yards rushing and 4 carries tonight. A couple of sacks. Chuck, when he runs the ball on a designed run, very effective runner.
He's going to throw it on 3rd and 18 and have his man Hickey. Hickey struggling to hang on to that ball and was finally thrown down by Devin Jimenez at the 19-yard line. And so the question here for Brian Witten, do you try to kick another field goal here and get a 6-point lead? And that appears to be what he wants to do. Oliva trotting onto the field. Oliva just kicked a 34-yarder moments ago. Ruskowski, the holder. This one will be from 36, a distance he missed from earlier in the game.
They've got the lead. They've got Ruskowski getting the snap. I don't know. Do you run the fake here?
They will kick it, and Oliva's kick is spinning towards the uprights, but misses to the left. And Mishawaka has held on downs, and some might say justice prevails.
That is the way it worked out. But Mishawaka came into the ball game, told Keith Kinder, you're going to turn it over 3 times, almost the 4th time. But you're going to turn it over 3 times, you're not going to win. Here they are with the football and a chance to go down the field here in the 4th quarter and maybe have a chance to either tie or take the lead.
80 yards to pay dirt, and the lead is what stands between Mishawaka and success right now.
10 minutes and 12 seconds left to go. And everything we had hoped it would be.
Harness and Shively. It's Shively keeping the football, and Shively getting the first down to the 31-yard line. Sam Shively pulling that one out at the last minute and rushing for 11.
Shively just went over 100 yards. He's got 102 now on the night.
That was after having just 16 rushing yards against St. Joe the first time these two teams played. So that's one of the adjustments that Mishawaka has made.
145 yards rushing for Harness, but a couple of fumbles.
Shively wrapped up by Mark Heastan. And then Dan Stone came in to wrap him up as well.
Pulse FM welcomes Chonda Pierce to Still Laughing Tour Sunday, November 11th at the Lerner Theater in downtown Elkhart. The First Lady of Christian Comedy is coming to Elkhart for one night of laughs and stories with special guest Karen Williams. For more information and tickets, visit the website at thelerner.com or at pulsefm.com.
Loss of 3 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 13 from the 28. Handoff, Harness leaps his way to the 30-yard line, but that's only a gain of about 1 or 2 on the play. And Mishawaka will be looking to the 3rd and long right here. Generous spot up to the 31. Third and 10. Shively has only thrown for 2 yards tonight. They run it up the middle. Harness fumbles again, but it's picked up by Shively, and he's got the first down up to the 48. What a play.
Well-designed play. Is that what they were trying to do? I don't think so.
A 16-yard gain between Harness and Shively, and Mishawaka moves the chains on 3rd and 10 as you watch it again on the Bethel College Admissions replay. Connery rocking Harness, but look who was there to pick up the loose change.
Wow. That's 4 fumbles for Harness tonight.
Under 8 minutes to go in regulation. Harness up the middle, knocked down at the midfield stripe. Pick up a 3 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 7.
Harness now with 158 yards, but Chuck Ford, the fumbles have been his out of the 5 that Mishawaka's committed. You know, we had a theory last time we saw him against Penn. He's 5'7", 170 pounds, and you know, he's got a short forearm, so sometimes that football is about as big as his forearm, and it gets popped just the right way. He's been prone to give that.
And he's done it quite a bit here tonight. 2nd and 7. Harness slamming off the right side for 2 yards. It'll be 3rd and 5.
By the way, some of that has to do with St. Joe popping him pretty good today.
Absolutely.
160 yards now for Harness, 107 for Shively. Bill's Heating has been keeping families and businesses comfortable since 1951. You can relax knowing your family's comfort is their top priority. And Bill's Heating was voted best of the best by readers of the Goshen News 3 years in a row. Bill's Heating.
From the 48-yard line, 3rd and 5. Shively keeps it himself and gets the first down. Shively to the 33. 15-yard pickup. And Mishawaka on the move again. It might be a situation of who has the football last tonight.
Really could be. Well, we've had some scoring drives tonight. 80 yards in 12 plays, 73 and 11. We had 70 and 10. We had 70 and 10. Boy, both teams looking like veteran teams, successful teams, giving it all they got here tonight.
Handoff. Harness submarined at the 31-yard line. Pick up a 3 on the play. Tough to get under that guy, but St. Joe was able to do it that time.
While you're cheering on your favorite team from the stands, know that Thor Industries is your biggest fan. As the largest RV manufacturer in the world and with 16 Thor companies in northern Indiana, we have a spot for you on our starting lineup. Visit ThorIndustries.com to get started today.
4th quarter score, Concord leading Elkhart Central 17-14 over Jake Field.
Another good matchup.
Harness, did he get leveled? But Shively held on to the football and gets spun down by Mark Heestand at about the 26-yard line. St. Joe playing very physically tonight. And it's helped them get 3 turnovers. But Mishawaka trying to take the lead on this drive, looking at a 3rd and 2. And really working the clock.
292 yards rushing for Mishawaka tonight. You just imagine what they might have had if they'd hung on to the football.
Already over 5 minutes and 20 seconds off the clock on this drive. Harness stood up, but I think he may have gotten the first down. He needed to get to the 24, and it looks like they gave him the 23.
Picked up 3 yards. He's got 168. Building faith, character, and excellence since 1953, St. Joseph is the only private high school in Michiana awarded 4 stars from the Indiana Department of Education.
What a ball game here at Steele Stadium tonight. The winner plays the winner of Lowell and Hammond Morton. Right now, Lowell leads at 10-7 in the second. Shively on the option run, cuts it inside, still on his feet, takes it down to about the 12. That's another Mishawaka first down. And the Cavemen carving up this Indian defense here in the second half. Now St. Joe trying to bow its necks and come up with a big stop here with about 4 minutes left in the game. Shively and the Cavemen trying to bleed as much clock as possible.
Now over 300 yards rushing for Mishawaka in this ballgame.
That is standard operating procedure for the Cavemen. They average 336 a game.
221 passing for St. Joe. That's what they do.
Harness stood up after a pickup of 1. Casey Connery made the stop. And a flag on the play. 2 men moving at the same time will cost Mishawaka 5 yards.
It did look like a little bit of a strange start. So the penalty against Mishawaka, just their 3rd penalty of the night. Folks, for more than 50 years, Holy Cross College has a proven record of forming students to be scholars, citizens, leaders, and disciples. Holy Cross is a small school with big-time access to the University of Notre Dame and St. Mary's College. Holy Cross is committed to helping students meet their individual goals and proud to introduce a new 3-year intensive bachelor's program. For more information, visit the website at hcc-nd.edu/admissions.
Donovan Snyder on the pitch,
gets knocked out of bounds at the 8-yard line. Pickup of 9 on the play for Snyder. It'll be 2nd and 6. Watch Snyder again as you get a look at the Bethel College admissions replay. And finally being angled out of bounds that time.
26 yards rushing tonight for Snyder, and a nice, not a reserve role, but when they called his number, he's been a positive gainer.
Going out of bounds stops the clock. 3:29 to go. Harness, he gets slammed to the ground after a pickup of maybe a yard or two. Up to about the 6-yard line, it'll be 3rd and 4.
Partner, you have a very popular phrase you like to use when somebody gets hit pretty hard, getting dough popped. That container's been open for quite a while tonight. Holy cow.
Been a few biscuits spread out tonight. 3rd and 4, it'll be a huge decision for Keith Kinder if they don't make the conversion here. And St. Joe jumps offside. It'll be half the distance to the goal. It will not be a first down. It'll be 3rd and 1 though. It's the 3rd time tonight that Kenzel Kelly has jumped offside.
40 yards and penalties now for St. Joe. Mishawaka with 20. Which is both very good numbers for both teams as far as personal or foul yardage, but boy, in a close game, 20 yards difference is big.
So 3rd and 1, 2:55 to go. The line of scrimmage, the St. Joe 3. Chris Harness already with 2 touchdowns tonight. Sam Shively has the other one.
And I think Coach Kinder's got 2 downs to get this.
It's Shively to the end zone, touchdown, Mishawaka. His 25th touchdown of the season, and the Cavemen are back in front at 26-23. What a drive. They took about 9.5 minutes off the clock and marched at 80 yards.
Started with 10-12, partner. You're absolutely right.
Patton Snyder with a very key extra point right here. The snap is clean, the kick is up, and it is good. 2:44 to go in regulation, and Mishawaka has gone back in front. The Cavemen behind the running of quarterback Sam Shively and his partner in crime, Chris Harness, have a 4-point lead in the sectional championship game on 46. This edition of the TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week is being brought to you in part by the Indiana High School Athletic Association, partnering with TV 46 for 29 years.
What a ball game, what a drive. 80 yards, 15 plays, 5 first downs, 7:28 off the clock, and Mishawaka leaves St. Joe with 2 minutes and 44 seconds to go. Now, if you're Mishawaka, Chuck, you try to kick the ball a little bit deeper, give them a deeper field, but you risk giving the ball to Driscoll.
Absolutely. And if you're St. Joe, feel pretty good about the situation. You're going to have your senior quarterback with the football, 2:44 to go, a full complement of timeouts, and a chance to win the sectional championship. The kick kind of dies at the 31, and St. Joe smartly just gets on it right there. Noah Hickey hit by some friendly fire there. And Hickey a little slow to get up.
St. Joe 69 yards away from pay dirt. They need a touchdown.
Well, it is the situation every kid dreams about growing up playing in the backyard. You're down by 4. You need a touchdown to win. You got a certain amount of time left to get it down the field. And in the case of Ashton Roskowski, his backyard right now is Steele Stadium. His time is 2 minutes and 44 seconds, and he's got 3 timeouts left.
They started the second half with a 14-second drive that went 67 yards for a touchdown.
And Keith Kinder will use one of his timeouts to make sure his defense is set and ready.
Imagineering Finishing Technologies is an Indiana company that impacts industries worldwide. Over half a century of quality and excellence has made it the industry knowledge source. We support the efforts of the young people in this game tonight. We're working toward the same goal after all, and that is a great finish. And partner, we've got one.
Tuesday night on 103.1 FM, Indiana hopes to have a great start to the basketball season. Davizzi Anderson had 14 in their preseason game last night. We'll see how much time he gets when the Hoosiers take on the Cougars of Chicago State. You'll hear it Tuesday night at 6:30 on your home for IU basketball in Michiana, 103.1 FM.
Well, and next Friday we've got a ball game for you, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Notre Dame women's basketball taking on Harvard. A little bit of a local flavor to that team.
Madeline Raster, the former St. Joe player, one of the Harvard captains. Her alma mater trailing by 4. Driscoll in motion. They throw to him out in the flat. He hangs onto the ball, got a block, and got out of bounds to stop the clock at the 37-yard line. Nice pickup on the play of about 6 yards. It'll be 2nd and 4. 2:38 left. You see the situation down on the Thor Industries scoreboard. And the sectional championship trophy has made its appearance on the brand new track here at Steel Stadium.
Roskowski now 15 of 26 passing, 3 touchdowns, 227 yards.
By the way, that's not quite like when the Stanley Cup shows up. There's no guy with white gloves walking around with that.
320 total yards for St. Joe in this ball game.
Roskowski over the middle. Hickey hangs on, stripped of the ball, and Mishawaka's got it. 44-yard line, the Cavemen celebrate. Derek Dawson with the fumble recovery. And now St. Joe's defense is going to have to find a way to get it back.
It picked up about 15 yards on the play.
2:29 left in this one. Roskowski fired to Noah Hickey, who has had problems hanging on to the ball tonight. And it came over and got stripped away by Sam Shively, who was in there as a defensive back.
Ball's been out a lot tonight. The conditions, it's cold, but it's dry.
Shively now on the carry. Tripped up at the 46. St. Joe will use a timeout right away with 2:23 left. The Indians still have 2 timeouts left. So Mishawaka needs to get a first down here to help put this game away.
They'd certainly like a first down. They'd like to get that clock under 2 minutes. Oh, we had so many big plays in this game.
What a play by the Mishawaka defense. Stripping the ball away and making the fumble recovery.
Partner, you want to make the phone call or do I? Tell them we need more time for a replay on Saturday morning. Hard to take anything out of this game. So many big plays, fumbles, long scoring drives. Wow.
Meanwhile, a score update from another game going on in the area. We can tell you that Triton has a 17-14 lead on North Judson as they go to the 4th down at Liberty Field.
139 yards rushing tonight for Shively.
And Shively on the carry. Shively diving forward as Connor Radigan wraps him up. St. Joe uses another timeout before Mishawaka looks at a 3rd and 2. 2:38 to go in Angola, and the Hornets lead Northwood 27-26.
Again, it's what you would expect. So many good matchups tonight. So many good games. Sort of like tomorrow in NCAA football. There's a few matchups.
It's a final at Jake Field. Concord has beaten Elkhart Central 17-14. Congratulations to Craig Kaler and the Minutemen, who will likely have a date with Michigan City at Ames Field next Friday night.
Not only for the win tonight, but for keeping their spirit up during the course of a tough season. They had some real tough losses by single-figure margins, but they kept working, kept going back and getting better each week. And here they are with a nice piece of hardware in their trophy case.
Mishawaka trying to add one as well. Looking at 3rd and 2. St. Joe showing blitz. Shively will take his time. Remember, the game clock not running because of the St. Joe timeout. The play clock down to 10.
St. Joe had jumped tonight a few times. We're trying to get him to do it again.
Shively with the carry and the first down. Shively gets run out of bounds, though, at the 43-yard line. That'll stop the clock. But St. Joe only has one timeout left with 2:12 remaining.
Well, you got the first down. That's going to give you 3 more plays.
Mishawaka should be able to just about run out the clock here.
Totally agree with you, partner.
Even if St. Joe calls a timeout after this play.
Man, 149 yards rushing tonight for Shively, 169 for Harness.
And it's Harness on the carry. Harness, they got him out of bounds to stop the clock at the 38-yard line. Not really good game awareness that time by Mishawaka. Keith Kinder does not want his players running out of bounds right now. It'll be 2nd and 5, 2:06 on the clock.
174 for Harness, partner. He's getting pretty close to that.
Well, 174, that would take him over the 4,000-yard mark for his career. And his career may be extended into the regional if the Cavemen can hang on to the football here for the last 2:06. 2nd and 5. Harness up the middle. Harness.
Fans are yelling, go
taking
down.
that at the 12-yard line. Well, they're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah. Once he got the first down, they were all hollering, go down. But you know what they didn't know? They didn't know that he needed 26 yards to get to 200. Guess who's at 200 yards again? Chris Harness.
7th time this season that Harness has run for 200 yards. And, of course, they didn't want him to fumble. They didn't want him to run out of bounds. St. Joe has to use its last time out here with 1:59. And Mishawaka should be able to go into victory formation now and kill the clock on this one.
Well, Mishawaka lost or beat them by 2 the first time they played. And Mishawaka now up by 4. But it sure looked like St. Joe was going to have a chance to maybe come back and win it by 3. You knew it was going to be dandy when we put it on the schedule. We saw how the matchups were going to go in Class 4A, and we could get a chance to see the winning team here tonight, maybe in a couple of weeks, and maybe a semi-state. We'll have to wait and see.
What a job by Keith Kinder in his first year as the Mishawaka head coach. Inheriting a veteran team from Bart Curtis, no question about that. But this was a Mishawaka team that was very young a year ago and struggled. They didn't even finish 500 on the season last year. Or actually they did. They went 6-5.
6-5. And who's happier about the Mishawaka success this year than Bart Curtis?
Oh, absolutely. He and Keith Kinder very close as you see Shively go into victory formation. And take the kneel down. Play clock is set at 40 with 1:50 left. So Shively looks over at Keith Kinder, says, I got you, coach. Shively, it was interesting to talk to Sam this year. He feels like he's had a much closer relationship with Keith Kinder than he did with Bart Curtis. But he also said that's not all Bart Curtis's fault. I grew up a lot. I matured a lot. And you could see that in the course of covering Mishawaka this year compared to what you saw from Sam Shively as a sophomore and as a junior last year.
Well, Bo Hunt may be talking to Sam Shively here in just minute and a half.
Well, he did score the game-winning touchdown.
And he did a great job of leading the team down the field.
Especially rallying this team from committing 3 turnovers in this game.
They've had 5 fumbles, and if you told that to Keith, okay, we got a thumbs up, buddy.
Shively's like, Coach, don't worry about me. I know exactly what you want me to do here.
Keith Kinder saying kneel on your left knee this time.
45 seconds left. And the Mishawaka Cavemen will walk away with a sectional championship. As Shively hands the ball to the official, and the celebration begins at Steele Stadium. The Cavemen survive and advance in the Indiana High School football tournament. They are the Class 4A sectional champions and will move on to face either Lowell or Hammond Morton next Friday in the regional. And I believe either one of those teams has to come here to Steele Stadium, and that won't be an easy out for anybody.
No, it will not be. And the St. Joe Indians showing a lot of class, gathering together in the far sidelines. They're going to go out and shake hands. And, well, what a great year it's been for St. Joe, coming back from all those injuries to make it to the sectional championship game. Half the teams lose in every round of the tournament. Somebody had to tonight, but what a ball game we had.
A terrific football game won by Mishawaka. The final, the Cavemen 27, the Indians 23. Stick around, much more to come on our post-game show, including our IU South Bend Fulfilling Promise Player of the Game. That's all next on the 46 Game of the Week.
The WHME TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week. Brought to you by
All smiles for the Mishawaka Cavemen, and why not? Many of them posing with that sectional trophy as the Cavemen hold off St. Joe tonight in a great football game here at Steele Stadium, 27-23. Chuck Fraby and Bob Nagel high above the fray. You made the comment early in this one. People only had to pay $6 for this, and if you're watching it tonight, you got to see it for free, and it was well worth the price of admission.
A lot of big plays for both teams, and again, Mishawaka dropped the ball 5 times tonight, but St. Joe had a lot to do with that. They were popping them pretty good all night long. They popped harness a few times, and Shively did a great job. The one that was on the ground that Shively picked up, it turned out to be a 15-yard gain. I gave it 7 and 8.
Massive play in this game.
But a huge game there. And then, of course, the penalty was big, and it wasn't like a flagrant. It was a good call by the official. I thought the hit was a little bit late, but it took away a turnover that would have given St. Joe the ball and ended Mishawaka's chance to score late in the first half. As it was even at 14 at halftime. And boy, again, there are a lot of heroes on both sides. Congratulations, St. Joe, on a great year. And how about those Cavemen?
The guy that engineered the game-winning drive and scored the game-winning touchdown. Well, that gets you an IU South Bend Fulfilling the Promise Player of the Game honor and an interview with Bo Hunt down on the field. Take it away, Bo.
Standing by with our player of the game, NIC North champs, sectional champs, Sam Shively. Sam, just a great game out there. Just talk about this victory and what it means to your team.
It's huge for us. They were a very good team. Offensively, they were very good. Defensively, they were very physical. And we put the ball on the ground too much tonight, but luckily they did it too. And we just came fortunate enough to win that. So
talk about that adversity of throwing that ball on the ground, those turnovers, and then having to come back. How did you guys overcome that?
Our defense stepped up. They played really well tonight. I'm very happy for them.
Talking about defense, you guys do a long drive, score, and then come up with a big fumble at the end, strip on that.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. I didn't know the ball popped out, but I was happy when it did.
Congratulations, sectional champs, babe.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, back to you guys. Sectional champs, NIC North, and also NIC South champions are sectional champs tonight, guys. Back to you.
Actually, the co-champs of the NIC South, both Marion and Bremen, would get a thumbs up tonight from Sam Shively as well, as they're all headed on to the regional. But for this Mishawaka team and their head coach, Keith Kinder, he had to sweat this one out. This team faced a lot of adversity tonight, but when it came down to it and they needed a big play, in fact, an electrifying play of the game, they got it from Sam Shively with the game-winning touchdown after a drive that took about, 7.5 minutes off the clock.
Got in the end zone for the big touchdown. You know, one of the plays that Sam made as well in the ball game was that two-point conversion. That tied it at halftime. And after all the adversity that Mishawaka had faced in that first half, to be tied going in the locker room, I think that was really big for them, especially mentally, to come out in the second half. St. Joe threw one right out. 14 seconds into the second half, St. Joe's back on top. Mishawaka battled back a couple of times, and a lot of courageous play on both sides of the ball tonight. And boy, just really happy, I guess, for Mishawaka and Keith Kinder. What a job he's done.
And for the NIC tonight, yes, Penn lost and Elkhart Central lost, but they've got a 4A sectional champ in Mishawaka, a 3A sectional champ in Marion, a 2A sectional champion in Bremen, and we may well see the Lions next week as they'll be at home for the regional. We'll post that for you on Twitter and Facebook next Monday. But for the time being in Mishawaka, they're not worried about the regional. They're enjoying a night of celebration after a 27-23 win over St. Joe. Our thanks to our TV 46 crew who brought you this one tonight, led by the bubbly one, Champagne Tony Beltran at the controls. And a great cast of characters. David Persinski filling in on audio tonight. Thomas Tahara, as usual, a great job on graphics, and you see the names go on and on. A reminder that there's college football Saturday afternoon on Pulse. The Iowa Hawkeyes take on the Purdue Boilermakers. 3:30 for the kickoff on that one. And then next Friday night, we take one more step on the road to Lucas Oil Stadium as we'll have IHSA regional action for you on TV 46. You'll see it Friday night at 11 and Saturday morning at 9. Now for my broadcast partners, the Hall of Famers, Bob Nagel and Bo Hunt, it's Chuck Grebe. Once again, the final score from Steele Stadium, Mishawaka 27, St. Joe 23. The Cavemen prevail as the 4A sectional champions.